in their minds that they would take this one easy, so everyone would stay on their bikes, Sean?
Well, I think it's the weather, the wind conditions, the way it's blowing, it's calmed the situation down, and for that reason, we're not seeing anything of exciting in the peloton.
Little cheeky look across there. Lotto Soudal just keeping tabs on Etixx Quick-Step, so the two major teams in for today's sprint, and I think you'll forgive us for saying that. Lotto Soudal for Andre Greipel, the German champion, wearing the white jersey with the German tricolour across his chest on the right-hand side of the road, so left as you look at it, and the blue with the white helmets of Etixx Quick-Step working for Marcel Kittel, a man who got beaten in the German Championships by the very same Andre Greipel, who took 4 stages last year. He'd love 4 more, and he'd like to open his account today. It's not just about winning the stage, though, don't forget. It's also about wearing the leader's jersey, the honour of that. If you win today's stage, that will belong to you. No intermediate sprint seconds, but 10 seconds bonus at the line for the winner. 10, 6 and 4. These guys are at 6s and 7s, but it's all about the combativity award for them. We're waiting for the big turn of the peloton, which is just about to happen any moment now. A little bit of street furniture on a gentler right-hander for them to exit town. I'm hoping we're not going to miss that particular shot, because they're only 26 seconds adrift, and we may well be missing it as we speak. After all that build-up, there we are, finally, at last, and that's how they sail into it. Now look deep into the back, and look how they're being squeezed here. 4 wide, they were 8 wide, don't forget, and it tails off dramatically towards the back. You have to be up to the front. You're on duty as part of a sprint team, Sean, and the right men are in the right place, it seems.
Yes, well, we can see a mixture of riders and teams up front. The sprint teams, they've got to be here at this point as we go, just over the 13 kilometres to go, but also general classification men, they have to, be up there with their team helpers and their team leader as we go into, a very important part of the stage now, this final run in, and we can see here Sky is a team with Kirienka, being there on the front of affairs with a number of riders, including Chris Froome in his slipstream.
Mark Cavendish has got MG and Quebec all around him. Sorry, Dimension Data, I do beg your pardon, but with the big Q upon their back. Dimension Data, we have Edvald Boasson Hagen wearing the Norwegian flag, of course, and last man standing for him will be Mark Renshaw. But he's got good protection around him, and a great lead-out train in the offing, Mark Cavendish. Don't discount him by any means, despite the fact that the press have been talking about this being an all-German affair with Kittel and Greipel. It could be a Norwegian raiding party as well. The Viking himself, Alexander Kristoff, with Marco Haller. He's got Ganieri as well, and Michael Morkov versus final release man. That's going to be impressive if they function beautifully. John Degenkolb, I think he's still probably suffering from maybe just a lack of belief in a situation such as this, but that could be a third German. Maybe a German 1, 2, 3 today. That would be a frightener in this part of the world. Dylan Groenewegen, the Dutchman from Lotto Jumbo, he's a Dutch champion, don't forget, so don't look for the yellow, black and white of Lotto Jumbo. Well, not on his shoulders anyway. He's the Netherlands champion, so he'll be going for it. And what about Peter Sagan? Well, don't be surprised if the rainbow jersey does show its face. Danny McLeay from Fortunato, Vital Concept. You've seen one of their men, De La Place, in the break, which is still 23 seconds away, by the way, with 11.8 to go. So let's hope for the sprinters, sprint fans amongst you, that it's not this duo, but I guess the romantics would hope they'd go all the way. And of course, Sam Bennett, let's not discount him either. Michael Matthews for Orica Green Edge. Watch out for the now new livery, dark blue and green of Orica. Orica Bike Exchange, I beg your pardon, is their new sponsor, hence the navy blue. So, my goodness, that's not what you want at a moment such as this. And Cousin was, I think, going to help out with Jeffrey Soup in the absence of Nasser Bouhanni, the only major sprinter who is missing. So Cousin, I'm afraid, is not going to be part of this, because the pace will be picking up before you know it. It's GC teams to the fore. Talking about pace picking up, surely it couldn't be more of an amble at the moment. 21 seconds the gap to the breakaway. The sprinters teams, if they want a part of this and deny the break, they're going to have to pick it up.
Well, I think 21 seconds still with over 11 kilometres to go. There is no concern there, and the moment they start building up to the sprint, I think this 20-second advantage will come down very, very quickly in a number of kilometres, 3-4 kilometres they could reel those guys in. As we can see, I'm not sure if it is exactly the 20 seconds at the moment, because we can see the peloton just there at the end of that stretch.
There we are, the clock is going the right way as far as the pack are concerned. As we say it goes wider to 23 seconds. I think if we had Tony Martin up here, we'd probably believe it, but he's certainly not. Oh, Gellert Last looked empty there as he sort of dropped his shoulders and said, come on, come through. And there was no great hurryment at all from Alex Howes to take over the duty. So as we look at it right now, Giants are up for this, and John Degenkolb, is he feeling better, Sean? There they are in their new livery, white with black stripes. It looks like they're wearing a number 11 upon their back. Ooh.
Yes, well, I think Degenkolb is definitely going to get into the mix here, and if you're feeling in any good shape at all, you have to give it a try as a sprinter. You just get up there and you get involved in it, and Degenkolb, we know that he is a great fighter, and I'd be very surprised if he don't get into the mix today.
Sagan's still very much there. One man we haven't mentioned, Brian Coquard, who's been on great form of late. And the 3 days of Dunkirk over 4 days, he did a terrific job. He's got Jenny, Petit and Schulich, so watch out for the men with the golden bagel upon their shoulders. Sort of dark brown with a gold accent as well, and the young Frenchman who's quite coquettish could well be strutting around today. What about Edward Toons for Trek Segafredo? He'll be led in by Fabian Cancellara. There's other options for them as well, but none bigger, I guess, at the moment. I think everyone wants to know whether Kittel's going to get beaten today.
Well, he is the man that I think most of people will be, talking about to get the stage victory. But again, you'll never know in this final, will somebody be able to maybe steal a mark in that final kilometre? And you did mention Trek Segafredo. Toons is a man, I think he can go for maybe a longer sprint. Jesper Stuyven also, we did say he won a stage last year in the Vuelta. So, those guys are, very, very fast in the sprint, and they will be, being nursed along by Cancellara, of course. And will we see some of the maybe not the real fast men winning today? It's hard to say, because with this final run-in, it looks like it's a perfectly made one for the very fast ones.
Grivko might be an option for Astana, so if a light blue rider pops up, then don't be surprised. There we are. 21 seconds now to our break. It's kind of holding, but with 8.7 to go, is still more than enough time. And a little bit of a shakeout of the legs from Lee Howard, who was in the break earlier on today, was hoping for a polka dot jersey by the end. Not to be his, I'm afraid. And still they hang out here. So we look back and just look at the smooth approach that we've got right now. They have themselves something of an assist. In fact, it'll turn into an absolute out-and-out tailwind with 5.5 kilometres to go. It looks like it's not troubling them as we stand, and it's an easy pace that they seem to be setting right now as they just continue this long, kind of lazy approach almost, if you could possibly say that, after what will be by the day's end 188 kilometres from Mont Saint-Michel to Utah Beach. And the coast is beckoning, Sean. There's going to be fireworks here.
Well, there have to be fireworks, but at what point? We're expecting them to kick off much earlier. With a tailwind, you would expect somebody to have an attack here, but nobody wants them to come out of the peloton. But again, they are going at a fast rate. We did see peloton at 59 kilometers per hour, so it's going at such a fast rate. Right as they're going to say, at that rate, there's no point in trying today. It's going to get nowhere.
Exactly, you might run out of gears. There is Andre Greipel with the German stripes. If you look next to the men with the Q on their back, they're in a queue for Mark Cavendish at the moment, but Peter Sagan is right there, staying in touch with his fast side, shall we put it that way. Grivko up here for Astana. There is Kittel, just keeping mindful, trying to look over to the other side of the road and just see what sort of mood Greipel is in. Greipel wearing the German champions jersey. Look dead through the centre. You'll see Sky here, of course. Chris Froome looks nice and calm, although open-mouthed, I must say. Maybe the nerves of the moment, just wanting to stay safe for his amazing campaign, and that bid, of course, to defend the title will be the first since '96. No French winner of the Tour de France since 1985, incidentally. We're going to have to wait for much deeper into this race before we find out whether they've got a chance to do so again. Don't think there's going to be a Frenchman at the line first today. Take nothing away from Brian Coquard for Direct Energy. Could possibly have been Barani, but I think even in an out-and-out straight-line sprint, he probably would have had his problems as well. Caused problems for others as well if he started jinking and diving all over the different lines that he seems to take. The strange script he writes on any fast finish, and we're going to have one before you know it. 6.2 kilometres to go. Sean, it looks like they're standing still, but they're still doing 55 kilometres an hour, courtesy of this tailwind.
Yes, it looks like that they're rolling along here, but you know, we can see there the peloton 57 kilometres per hour. They're going at a fast rate, and it's really the two riders out front. They're doing a monument of a ride to be able to ride at this pace, being out there all day. It's a great performance from our two leaders on the road.
You can see it's just turning slightly into a crosswind. They'll make the final turn, by the way. It's 5.5 k's to go. I think it's just by this church, Saint-Marie-du-Mont, St Mary's Mount. They will make that change. It is indeed. And here we come into town. It's this little kind of tricky chicane type scenario. But once they leave, it's a reasonable enough pace for them to stay safe. But Andre Greipel calls for a bit more of an injection. Sky match it, and so do Essex Quickstep, who appear to have the longest train of all. Greipel only wants 3 men in front of him. Kittle's asked for more than that. Kittle's chucked on the inside there as they take it, and Greipel's men get spat over to the right, but they get the best escape. Greipel's with them as well. This is superb work by Andre Greipel's men, and again trapped on the inside. It's Essex Quickstep. Clean is through there. Greipel's been disengaged from his trio up front. He'll be calling for them. He's got 2 men behind. So after thinking he's got a good line, it turned out to be a bad one. Reassembling themselves. Essex Quickstep. Greipel's back with his men. Who wants to be? Sky disengaged. Little tap from Greipel saying, "Excuse me, I'm coming through." Likewise, the rest of them. The quick men coming to the fore then. 5 to go. We go into that banner, and we've got a tumbler. And it's Lotto, I'm afraid. It's not Groenewegen, the Dutch champion, but it's one of his teammates. Oh, and Direct Energy as well. I don't think that's Coquard. It looks too big a frame. Tim Roosten, but Direct Energy hampered, I'm afraid, on this approach. Back to the front, surely, and here we go. There is Lotto Soudal then with the red accented jerseys, and the red jerseys with the big K, that is for Christophe. The Dutch champion is just on the back of their train. So is the French champions also in here. This is of very little consequence to us, I'm afraid. That's Turing, who's one of the lead-outs for Brian Coquard. Shame for him. There goes, there as well is Giant moving up. This is for Degenkolb in the white jerseys. We hit the 4 kilometres to go marker. All together here then, the breakaway course, and there will have to be a judgment as to which of them was the most combative. But for the day, surely it's going to be, the big news is going to be who takes the yellow jersey and indeed wins the first sprint of what is going to be a day of 4 days indeed for the quick men. Here come Mark Cavendish's men being brought up. Is Mark, and he's got, of course, Edvald Boasson-Hagen flying wingman for him at the moment. Terrific lead-out train for Mark as well. Here we are. Cavendish's Dimension Data men come up alongside Essex Quickstep. It's Lotto Soudal on the other side with Giant as well. 3.5 kilometres to go, and here is Giant, slowly but surely making the way through. Greipel doesn't like it, sticks out an elbow. Oh, there's not much room to play with. It's opening up dead centre and spearing up through it goes Edward Toynes for Sagafredo with Jesper Stuyven as well. You can see the Norwegian flag on the back of Edvald Boasson-Hagen, and just behind him is Mark Cavendish, just starting to sort of meerkat a little bit, try and take a bit more vision. Essex Quickstep as well. Now just on the approach, Sky staying safe. As for Mark Cavendish, despite the fact we're under the 3K to go banner right now, so any accidents, and they should be okay time-wise, provided, of course, that they are hampered by it. Here we are. There is, Greipel's not got the cleanest approach here at all, and he won't like that. Big squeeze on this gentle left-hand turn. The K's of Katusha also looking very, very busy for Alexander Kristoff at the moment. And there's the Dutch champion being brought through. Groenewegen has got 2 men in front of him, and there he is with the Dutch tricolor up towards the 4. Great effort by him. It could be the Lotto Jumbo man. He was sick. Don't forget the team presentation. Missed that. Right now he's not misfiring. He's in a great place. Mark Cavendish's Dimension Data boys move up on the left. They're starting to skirmish, and there goes Kristoff. He's caught for an early one. 1,500 metres to go. It's brutal out there, and Greipel at the moment is out of position and a long way down. Here comes Kokkal with Dimension Data and the Golden Bagels on the right-hand side of your screen. Oh, and it's a big, big grimace coming from just about everyone after a long, long day. It'll be the Flamme Rouge next. A lot of checking over shoulders. Kittle's out of position. He's going to have to work very, very hard to get back in it. For the time being, it looks very good for Groenewegen and for Kristoff. Flamme Rouge dealt with, and so we've got this straight line coming up with 650 metres to go. Here we are then, countdown and the hoarding. We've got them, and there's Greipel making his way up on the boards, left-hand side of your picture, right-hand side of the road. It's pick-up time for Jeffrey Sook, trying to get something out of this for confidence, but can't do it just for the time being. All settling in and waiting for the big push. Somebody's got to pick this up. They go for it yet again. They're intermingled. Katusha and Lotto. Edvald Boasson-Hagen checks over his shoulder, waiting for Mark Cavendish. Is in a terrific position at the moment. There's the Flamme Rouge, not quite dealt with just yet, but it is now. And there's Eddie's quick step, and Kittel has got 1 man in front of him, but he's got some mixed in with his line as well. It's not going to be a clean one for Kittel. Kittel looming large, almost hitting a line in the centre of the road. And Greipel's going to go early, is he? Somebody, I think Greipel's boxed in on the right-hand side of the road. Oh, and there's a big crash as well, just behind. Several riders down. They're opening up. Kittle's still there. Cavendish is still here as well. Spearing up through the centre. Pierce again. He wants to beat us today as well. If it gets rough, he can't be counted out. Pierce again comes to the line. Pierce again, the world champion. Is he going to be in the yellow jersey? Kittle's on his case. Kittle messes again at the line. Oh, and Mark Cavendish comes from absolutely nowhere. The nice missile. Yes! He takes it. He gets a yellow jersey. He nails it. Wow, Mark Cavendish. You beauty. Because he will have raced for safety, and then why not push on?
Well, we can see there a number of teammates with him, and that's what you need, you know, to take you around those corners. We can see Bernard Eisel is doing a great job here, going around the corners very, very fast, and the Team Sky guys are just waiting. As long as you have someone who is riding at a fast enough pace, lead them do that, and then when it comes to the point where Sky will feel that they're going to get crowded out, those riders coming up on their left and right, then they will take control and try and, you know, up the pace a bit more.
Again, another wide part of highway, and then all of a sudden it gets cramped. It goes from 3 lanes to 2. It'll go down to single lane as well, and that's why the peloton's really strung out. It's single file at the front with Sky and Dimension Data up towards the 4. Then behind them, they're 4 and 5 wide as a luxury, which is then cramped to 3. It slows down right at the back, and these guys, every single time that there is one of those compressions, they have an advantage, Sean, because they're able to maintain the speed through those squeeze zones.
Well, of course, the small group, 3 riders out in front, you can get through the corners a bit faster. Although in the front of the peloton, I think when you have the 1 line of riders, as we can see here, the first 10, 12 riders is just 1 line, they can get through quite quickly. It's further back in the peloton, that's where the problems can be, and we can see now Sky are just going to commit themselves in this final 10 kilometres and get onto the climb with Chris Froome, get onto the final 3 kilometres, and then there will be other riders, of course, within Sky who can stay with Chris Froome, hopefully all the way to the finish.
There's an awful lot of teams looking behind over their shoulder. Here's your 10k to go inflatable right now, and these guys are having fun. It's hardly a bouncy castle, but they may well be smiling at the end. They're about to take on the first of the 2 climbs that feature at the end today, albeit a double phaser for the last. This is the Côte d'Opteville that we're dealing with right now, or we will be in a few moments' time. See the road kicking up ahead of them? Well, it's not categorised, Sean, but it's an important one they're approaching.
Well, it is an important one, and especially for the breakaways, that is, you know, any little kick up at all is going to, you know, take effect here on our 3 men, because they have been, you know, riding at such a fast pace, and especially in the last 20 kilometres, they have, you know, upped the pace. They've been riding close to giving it 100%, and with just 3 men, of course they're going to pay against a big group of riders, and new riders appearing, new teams appearing here on the front of the peloton, and that is going to be the difficult one. Q18 at the moment, 9.3. They're holding on, very, very well. Will they have enough? It's going to be very, very tight.
It's going to be extraordinarily tight. Let's see how they go. Edward Toons is also in here, incidentally. Giant playing with us as well. Nice to see that Tom Dumoulin is reaching for glory, but just about everybody else has got a chance today. The Giant boys in a new livery, white with black stripes, a positive after the negative, their car incident. 2 minutes and 13 then. You see Tekla Hamanot, one of those who's been tagged off the back. He'll be on other sorts of duty later on. I think that Paul Voss will want to take the points if he can possibly get them. 2 minutes and 10, 8.9 to go. Well, according to the rule of thumb, they've got a fantastic chance here, but they are starting to run out here of resources, and Paul Voss in the polka dot jersey really looks like he's starting to pedal squares, and this is not even the categorized climb that we're going to be dealing with. Notable dry road surface, and in only 6 kilometers time where we are, it's a wet road surface, Sean. All kinds of weather, all kinds of possibilities today.
Yes, well, it's all happening out there, and we can see how 3 leaders, they are really struggling here. This is where they're going to lose a lot of time, because the peloton will go up this little climb much faster, and that 2 minutes, I think we will see that melting down rapidly, and we can see here in the bunch, the splits everywhere. That tells the pace is majorly high back in main peloton.
Well, they're taking this at 13 and 14 kilometers per hour. It's picking up now as they just get to the plateau with the Kota Octaville. This may well be and a nice kick-off, and of course it had to be Stuyven, and he's gone. This is full attack. This is for stage glory today from Stuyven. Took the Kern, Brussels Kern. He is explosive. He can go for this sort of moment. Now he's got a downhill crest here, downhill. Then he's got 2 kilometers before he gets to the final climb. Can he make it, Sean?
Well, I think he decides to go alone, because he probably feels that some of the riders are not, contributing their maximum, and for that reason Stuyven decides to go alone. And with 8.4 to go, if you're feeling good, you just go alone. Then you're not concerned about getting onto the final climb with somebody who has been sparing a bit of energy. And I think team orders, for Stuyven, if you've got anything left in the tank, 151 at the moment, just go for it.
Yeah, just go for it. And the main contenders won't be worried about Stuyven, but some of those who are looking for stage glory might well be. Tony Martin doing the pacing for Julian Alaphilippe and Dan Martin. I'll be bound with 8.1 to go. 1 minute and 48 is the gap that Stuyven has, and here comes Ed Valfosenhagen also into the frame. There's going to be a lot of losers here today if Stuyven makes it all the way to the line, and he can do this, but the pace, the gap is starting to tumble down. 8Ks to go now, and he's on the descent is Stuyven, while these guys engage the climb. Kittel burying himself as well, wants to keep up. G's up towards the 4 here. Chris Froome starting to use his shoulders. Everybody's looking for space here, and there's not a great deal of it around. There is Peter Sagan as well, who was denied yesterday, finished 3rd. Could be a day's winner, but he's got ground to make up, and it's Stuyven that's leading the day. Some big pickups from those who are finding themselves feeling a little bit second-hand at the moment, I'm afraid, but there's going to be plenty more of those by the time we get to the end. That was Domenico Pozzovillo trying to pick it up. There he is from AG2 on Le Mondial. Sam Dumoulin a little bit further up the road to him. 7.5 kilometers to go. Remind you that Stuyven trails by only 10 seconds. If he wins today, he'll be taking over the leader's jersey. It won't just be about a stage win. Let's see if he makes it. 7.3 to go. A minute and a half, a little bit more than that. He's still got. Now he's on the little descent. Oh, and he takes it shaky. Put a bit too much in there. Nearly got into the hay bales. Drives it downhill, down to the port side, and then he's got to time trial himself, Sean. He's got to get 2 kilometers under his belt before he takes on the climb.
Yes, and it's looking really difficult for him. We're still with 7k to go, 130 at the moment, so we can see there's a lot of teams and new guys appearing on the front there. We can see BMC has put a man in the front. It looks like Caruso, who is setting the pace, but Greg Van Avermaet, and he is one of the ones today who feels that he can do something here. And I think this final climb of 3 kilometres for Jesper Stuyven is going to be too much.
Valverde is also getting in the frame. Edvald Boasson-Hagen offers up a warning as well. It's taken with thanks by Ethics Quickstep. Eddie Voss, the man who, of course, Dimension Data would love to take the day after Sterling worked yesterday, also having taken a tumble. Mark Cavendish would love to see Edvald Boasson-Hagen do it as well. Here we go. This is that downhill run. It's almost like a ski ramp, if you like. It's going to feel like that. He's got to stay safe, though. He's not in the wet section up on the hill where we are at the moment, but he comes into a very technical part of town, down to Harborside, Sean, and, well, let's have a look at what he's going to deal with. Oh, goodness me, paint. That's another thing as well when it's damp. He's going to hit the brakes here. Let's hope he stays on board. It's a nasty, nasty approach at speed.
Well, I think for a road rider, you know, you have all the road there to play with, and Stuyven, we can see that he's going at a very, very fast rate. But back in the peloton, that's where it's going to be difficult when you have a number of riders, 3 or 4 riders across the road, trying to get through those very fast downhill sections. And there's a lot of more street turns to come here as we go to the close to 5Ks to go.
Still, he has a minute and a half, just 90 tenuous seconds. We know he's strong. We know he's very good late on. He was in the Kern Brussels Kern, a proper classics man's day, this sort of thing, which is why we picked out, of course, the likes of Peter Sagan, the likes of Van Avermaet, Alaphilippe, Dan Martin, you name them. They should feature here. Cancellara likewise. Cancellara, of course, is not going to do any pushing on, not with Jesper Stuyven, his teammate, with a chance today, and he's still holding a minute and 30. Here we go. It's the drive towards his climb. Will it be his? Will he conquer it, Sean?
Well, I would love to see him do it because he's definitely put up a great performance already today. But on this final climb, it's going to be difficult. When you have to ride, you know, at this rate, 60 kilometres per hour on the downhill, certainly, then it's difficult to hold it on the climb.
Oh, nightmare further back. Surely not
Richie Porte.
It is. I was going to say surely not Richie Porte, and it is. Oh my goodness, remember, no 3K rule here, and this is a very slow change. It's a Mavic neutral service, and this is time ticking away for Richie Porte. The shoulder starts to drop here. I hope he can pick it up. Meanwhile, the pace is being maintained by this man. Look at that, he's still got a minute and 29. My life, he's taken a double right-hander, which the peloton will be getting to any moment now, and he's on the approach to our climb. It starts with 3.2 to go. He's got 1 more kilometre. Now, how's this for a pinch point? That you're going to have to roll the dice if you're in a group of riders who are mobbing the road. It goes from 4 lanes to just about half of one.
Yes, and just looking at Richie Porte there, it's cruel to see him there. The team car, of course, not there because lots of riders getting dropped on the previous climb and getting from the neutral Mavic car, getting a wheel there, but taking a long time. It'll be very difficult to see him make it back into the peloton with the way they're going at the moment. It's high speed, and we can see there the pinch zones. Although the peloton is starting to stretch out a lot, and that is a little bit safer, but again, we'll have to see how they make it through.
Still a minute and 20, just about, slightly less than that. Jefferson's the last of the bottles. I don't think there was any fluid in there whatsoever, but he maintains exactly that. A fluid approach right now. Great cadence, great desire. He's had success this year. This will top even that, Sean.
Yes, well, he is, you know, a real powerful rider on the flat, and if he had a flat running, of course, then he would be home and dry. He would get his stage victory here, but this kick up in the end, this is going to be where it's going to be, you know, a real test for him being out there so long. I'm afraid to keep this pace going with the peloton coming up so quickly, unfortunately, it's going to be very difficult to see him holding on.
Let's have a look. There we are. 1.9 kilometres, 6.5%, except it doesn't tell you that there's an area of 14% and more within it. Look at the speed of Stuyven just stripping away. 27 kilometres now. That's going to get into the teens before you know it. And here come the chasers. A minute and 18 down on a narrow section of road that can barely accommodate 4 wide, 3 wide just about with some comfort, but also with danger signs going off. And alarm bells ringing for Stuyven, 26 k's an hour according to his data. Just for the time being, they've got a steady approach themselves, Sean, because they're also thinking about having lieutenants around them, particularly the GC men who are mobbing towards the front.
Well, I think, you know, the peloton is still on an easier section where Stuyven is in the difficult part here. He's on the climb already, and you know, the pace of the peloton will drop off a lot, but I think, as we can see on the front of the peloton, you know, there's riders there who will just give it 100%, for a couple of 100 metres and then peel off.
Right, Stuyven is going to take a gentle right-hander on this road. He hasn't actually got to the loop just yet. Look at the pace that's picking up. This is for Valverde, of course. Movistar also getting involved. Good to see Orica Bike Exchange also up towards the fore. They've got Matthews and Gerrans as they collect our friend from Fortuneo, Vaughan Breen, who was out there today. Tinkoff still pushing on. This, we remind you, is for Peter Sagan. Can't quite see Sagan in his rainbow jersey just for the time being, but the road is so wide at this point, and Kirienka as well, gritting his teeth and baring his teeth, I should say. Dan Martin just starting to show himself. He and Alaphilippe riding this up together. That's terrific to see. And the French champion, Arthur Vichot, also coming over to the side of the road. Now then, this is where you've certainly got to start grinding it, and somebody's going to reach out. Is Navadauskas going to have a dig here?
No, I don't think it's Navadauskas. He's been riding on the front for quite a long time, so it's just
Slachta, I think.
Some of the other riders. Slachta possibly would be a finish that he could put in a good finish.
Wow, we'll see. Wearing an aero helmet, why not? Give it a go. 55 seconds now, 2.2 to go. On the toughest part of the climb is the man who's up front. We can't see him at the moment, but he's on the loop. He's on the loop. He'll have a downhill run as well once he reaches a peak where the KOM point is. These guys haven't got there yet. No, he's still fighting. Out the saddle, back in it, back out of it. Dry section of road, remarkably. It's dried up so quickly. Oh, and there goes Paul Voss saying, you have it if you want it. And they're wrestling the course at the moment. 2 kilometres to go. He's still got 40 seconds. If he hits the downhill run in about 600 metres time, then he's got a great chance here. Mark Cavendish, number 101, wearing the yellow jersey, not going to be on his back at the end of the day, but a fabulous result for him. Could it be another one? This time for Jesper Stuyven, who's up the road. All ambitions can be burnt on this kind of incline. Chris Froome dead centre of the road there, also just maintaining a great safe position as we speak. Still no sign of Peter Sagan, but he is there. He's got a teammate just in front of him. 1.7 kilometres to go, and the downhill section will beckon before you know it.
Yes, well, we can see here now they're turning off the main road, and this is where it goes into the narrow section. It kicks up immediately, and a little bit further up here, 500-600 metres, a little bit less, we kick up to that 14%, and we can see Richie Porte here fighting to try and get back in, but there's so many riders getting dropped here. It's going to be difficult for him. We could see Mark Cavendish in difficulty also, but we can see there it looks like the Cannondale rider is Tommy Slachta. He's pushing on. He's been pulled back now, and it's the team of Contador who is taking control.
Massive push by Kreuziger on behalf of Peter Sagan, but this man is still going. Jesper Stuyven, and he's going to crest, and he's going to have a downhill run in just a few moments' time. He's going to get to that KOM point, and then it's going to be downhill. Not entirely to the line, however, we remind you. He's on the little tiny loop up near what we believe is the mare's hound. Everyone else is starting to wrestle with it. I think he's going to make this short. 59 seconds Stuyven has over the chasers at the moment. Here's Peter Sagan who gets back in the saddle. Oh, very, very difficult day to master, and the gap is growing out to a minute.
Yes, and it's amazing the way he's, got up this climb. I thought he would struggle a lot more, and he is, really powered up this climb, considering, there's new riders appearing all the time as he goes to this little bit of a downhill.
I think he's going to get this. 1.2 from home. He's now going to go downhill and then almost unkindly kick again. The camera bike just sails by him. Thank heaven for that, safely. Still Peter Sagan, who dreamt of glory today. Van Avermaet, Valverde there. Dan Martin along with Alaphilippe. There's that nasty turn. Now there's an even nastier one later on still to come, I'm afraid. Minute 6 Stuyven's got now.
No, I don't think we can see here. It looks like Stuyven is just out in front here, so that's time check is not the right one. We can see the peloton is about to close down on him, so the time checks are not correct.
Well, forgive me, I'm reading the graphics. I'm not looking at the pictures. Here we are then. Stuyven picks it up right now, and the grind that's been put into this, that's a shame that we were led to believe something else because of the graphics. We can only apologise. There we are then. It is a terrific push that's being put on at the moment by Kreuziger. Takes the final turn. This is a drive up to the line, and they're on his case. Now can Peter Sagan win it in the last 500 metres? Well, normally yes, but what a day it has this been. Stuyven's still going for it, still being guided into position, and here's Chris Froome. He's going to get a top 10. There's Dan Martin as well. I think it's going to be heartbreak finally at the 500-metre mark. That's going to be the catching of Stuyven. Sad for him, but we're going to have a glorious run right now. Van Avermaet gone. But that's also here, and here's Parisot on the barriers as well. This is fascinating. It's time to deliver. Who's got what it takes? They're licking their lips. They're going to feast on this, but somebody's going to burst for it. Sagan's not got just yet. Here comes Alaphilippe. He tries to find a bit more power, and he gets it. Alaphilippe, the young man. Oh, but there's more to be played out here. Far more. It is Matthews who gets it. Then goes Sagan. He swaps places with Alaphilippe. Sagan on the drive. The world champion versus Alaphilippe. Oh, what a finish that was. Sagan takes it. Alaphilippe smashed the handlebars with disquiet. But what a day we have seen. And the clock still rolls, we remind you, right now. Yes, there will be. This is Contador, who takes a double tumble, don't forget, as well. He's been guided home. Oh, my life, what a day, what a finish, what a race we've got here.
As we see Contador here, just fighting to get to the line, and he's going to lose quite a bit of time, plus the 30 seconds. So it's a day that some of the general classification men are going to lose time that they prefer not to. But we see that sprint there. Sagan, very impressive. Alaphilippe, looking like he maybe was able to come over him, but nobody. I thought Michael Matthews looked like he was going to start his sprint, but also did not have it. Sagan proving the strongest.
Good strong performance by Mark Cavendish, who'll say farewell to the yellow jersey. It hasn't looked comfortable on the arms today. He's been fiddling away with what looks like very, very narrow sleeves over the bicep. Well, he won't have to bear it for another day. I think he would have taken it. But very brave performance by not only Mark Cavendish, but of course Dimension Data. What a fantastic finish. Sagan, world champion. Nearest man to him, Julien Alaphilippe, a man we called earlier on today the mini Sagan, as the French press called, and they were 1 and 2.
Yes, and Valverde third also there, very close to the first and second. But what a battle, and what a ride by Jesper Stuyven. He put in a great fight there, considering this very difficult run in. But as we said, it was going to be a final here where we could.
Rivko for Astana, who'd have to go solo. John Degenkolb and for Giant Alpecin. I haven't seen them really assembling, but there they are, just next to Greipel. As you can see, if Degenkolb stays with Greipel, it's probably a good wheel for him to take. 9.2 kilometres to go, and 9-10 seconds only, I'm afraid. And it's going to have to be a round of applause for these guys. And Tommy Vogler steering the crowd. Would you mind just moving over, because we've got some cyclists wanting to come through here into the spec.
Yes, he's opened the road for the peloton now. He's doing
security.
Security, yes.
Yeah.
As well as riding his bike, he's looking into the security end of it.
I like that. Darrell Lindsay getting into position for Orica Bike Exchange as well. You can see that Essex Quickstep have mobbed the left-hand side of the road, right on the heads-up as you look at it. There's Team Katusha as well, and the choice of Alexander Kristoff picked by Sean today. Likewise, Direct Energy mobbing the right-hand side of the road here with the Golden Bagels. They'll be saluting Tommy for at least allowing them not to engage in the chase. A little bit of boxing going on as Arthur Bichot, French champion, tries to find his way through. Super effort. Dylan Groenewegen driving on Team Lotto Jumbo here. The Dutch champion is embedded in here, and he's called for action. And he's getting it as well. His team mobbed around him. The Giant Alpecin and John Degenkolb. What a story that would be. An amazing backstory. Zinkeldam protecting his back wheel, but John is in there as we hit 7.9 to go. Lona Sedal have been disengaged from the front. I'm not sure Greipel will like that. On day one, he got boxed in the barriers because he was out of position. Position has always been a problem. He wants it back. 7.6 remaining. There's our destination. There's some rises and falls to be taken into Angers, and there's just been a little bit of settling here. There's Mark Cavendish just looking. He's got just behind him at the moment. Edvald Bosenhagen is looking after him. Picking it up goes Sylvain Chavanel. Good drive by him to get some pace into Direct Energy and try and tee up Kokar. Sky staying safe, and Giants with their new livery, white with black, looks like a number 11 on there. Could be number 1 today, will it be though, for Degenkolb? Probably a tall order, but a good finish I suspect he thinks he can muster, which is why he's called for action, and they're starting to show themselves. 10 turns for Trek Segafredo as well. Cancellara may well help out, and it looks like he's going to be engaged in that duty. As Dimension Data come up, Sean. Everyone wants a part of this road. It's wide enough.
Well, everybody is moving here, and there's a lot of movement in the front of the bunch, and that's where it gets dangerous, because there's no team or teams who are really keeping the pace very high as we go to 6.5 to go, and that is when it's dangerous. We can see there's a lot of chopping on the front of the peloton, moving across left and right, and we can see here very much packed together with the spectators. That's where it gets dangerous. They stand out a little bit, a rider touched them, and we could see a lot of riders, going down. If one rider goes down, well, then we could see quite a few. We need to get more speed here, stretch the group out a bit, and that makes it safer.
Dutch champion Groenewegen looking very, very handy, and he's got a lot of teammates around him. Timo Roos and Rob Wagner absolutely right there for him. I think Wilco Kelderman's also doing some duties here. That's terrific for him. Maybe bad news and heartbreak for some others. They do a big split around some street furniture, and Sagan, takes a shoulder. There you are. He's prepared to wrestle. He shed all of his teammates. He's going to look for other people's wheels. There's Eric Quickstep now on the right-hand side of the road. Switch sides for Kittel. Doesn't want to get caught out again. Sean, left or right hand on the entree to that final curve?
Well, I think if you keep tight to the left and then just cut straight through the corner, that is the way to do it. And of course, you have the lead-out riders. The lead-out train will be very important. That final 1 or 2 riders for the big sprinters, they will know certainly how to do it, because they've got so much practice. They know exactly what their sprinter needs them to do.
Robin McEwen raced so beautifully in this part of the world. I think he suffered a fracture, serious one, into Angers, but he's a man who would have taken the barriers. I suspect Mark Cavendish might well be a barrier choice on the right-hand side. Shortest way through, but the easiest way to take it would be to go on the left-hand side, open up the right-hand corner, and then drift in and slam the door shut on everybody else. But you've got to have the lead-out train in order, and there's a lot here that really want a piece of this road. Ramonas Navadauskas, the Lithuanian champion. He's got Lagerfeld, he's got Dylan van Baal as well. Mali Breschel for Cannondale. They could help out. They might well help themselves. 4.8 kilometres to go. We, of course, are ignoring, or at least not cheering roundly, the ultimate quick men. We've got the world's 3 fastest here, Kittel, Greipel and Cavendish. Pick the order, whichever of those you think. Cavendish came out on top on stage 1. Will he do it again? He's nursing the green jersey on behalf of Peter Sagan, who's also in the frame. Victory yesterday, could make it 2 in a row. There's a lot of fresh legs here, and that might well have an impact. It might be an unexpected victory today, Sean.
Yes, and we can see here Tony Martin there from Eddie Quickstep with a teammate on his wheel. They're just looking about. They've lost Kittel. He's on the other side of the road, so it's getting broken up a bit, and not surprising here, because there's a lot of riders and a lot of teams moving about, so it's very difficult to get your team in line. Difficult to get your team in the
sweep into it, and a sweep up. Maybe glory. Michael Matthews still is within this group, by the way. Cockar's still here, but just slightly disengaged. You can see him. There he is, suddenly pops out. Cockar with 4 to go. He's got his teammates just slightly bossing the front, but Cannondale also very much involved, working for Navadauskas, as we mentioned, Lithuanian champion. Big right-hander as they come past the 3.8 Ks to go marker. Next, it will be a left-hander through the Boulevard d'Avier and then over to the river. So a few pinch points as well, Sean, along the way. This is not over by any means.
No, it's not. That's not over. With 3.6 to go, it's a long ways out for the sprinter teams to take it up at this point. As we can see, Direct Energy, very difficult to continue on and to lead your sprinter into that final corner. We can see Ethics Quickstep now starting to gather with 3 riders in front of Marcel Kittel, and that's what you need. You need to hold off for another kilometre 500 and just take it up, maybe maximum a kilometre from the finish.
Kittel does not want to take the win too early, but everyone knows he's fast, and it's his wheel that both Greipel and, of course, the Sagan are trying to mob at the moment. Mark Cavendish is on the other side of the road, on the car side, as we say, with 3 to go. Cancellara punches a big hole as well and just drifts to the front. This is good work that Cancellara is doing. This is for Edward Turns as my side bet for today. We'll see. Here comes Confidence as well. Why not Christophe Laporte? They're so disappointed with the lack of a Bouhanni that they've got other men who normally work as his lead-out train. And here come Orica Bike Exchange on the right-hand side. Matthews has got a lead-out man. I'm not sure if it's Garrow who's with him. 2.4 to go, then 2.3 now. Now, bit of a squeeze, as you can see. They'll make this turn just after the 2Ks to go marker. And then Bosenhagen here to punch a big hole in the air. The flick of the elbow is responded to, but it's by Orica Bike Exchange for the time being. They'll split here around some street furniture. Orica go wide. This is an important. Oh, and into the barriers. That's the end of that one. And I think Orica have found themselves a man down at a crucial moment. No surprise, it's slightly off camber here and spat out to the barriers with 1.8 kilometres to go. They try and pick up, but those guys are more or less out of it. Look at the pace that's out front. Jeffrey Stoup and his beard is guiding up at the moment. This is working for Christophe Laporte, but it's a diminished group courtesy of that crash. All of a sudden we find ourselves with Mark Cavendish. He's got two men in front of him. This is a great lead-in for Mark. There it is with 1.4 to go. Still no disturbance, it seems, for Ethics Quickstep. They, of course, still have Kittel here. Also, Sagan is very much in here. So Spling Matthews. He's got no lead-out, Matthews. There you can see Greipel, centre of the road. And it's as they come over the bridge, it's Sagan who's on his shoulder. So Flamme Rouge dealt with. And then we will start to pick up. There it is. Now this is the incline and they're wrestling for it here. Out of the saddle, back into it. Lotto Jumbo trying to boss the centre of the road. I Am Cycling also want a piece of today. Groenewegen is here though in the Dutch Champions kit. But will he have his chance? Over to the side of the barriers, and it's Edvald Bosenhagen who's keeping it sensible for Mark Cavendish, who's looking, trying to read it now. Big turn coming up, Camps on the shorter route home. Greipel's coming up alongside as well. You've got no choice at a moment such as this. You're going to have to take the road that's offered to you. Here comes your big turn. It's a big one as well. It takes 50 metres to wind out. 300 to go, and here we are then. It is Lotto Soudal at the front. There's a Greipel. Cavendish looks over his shoulder, sees who's around him. Greipel goes for it, has to reach out. Well, Kittel is out of shape, he's out of position. Greipel going for this. Cookard going for this. So Mark Cavendish. Mark Cavendish coming to the fore. Second strike with it. Oh, it gets him right at the very last, I think. Greipel punches the air, but I think it was Cavendish that took it at the line. We shall see whether there was a premature celebration here in Angers. We'll have to look back in Angers to see who took it.
The offensive in the Pyrenees, while Greg LeMond was left to ask, where is my team? Near the end, Gianni Bugno agreed it was not the time for infighting, and the race's biggest rivals joined forces to chase Leblanc, but it was too late. Leblanc took the leader's yellow jersey. Hello and welcome to the Tour de France on its second day in the Pyrenees, but what a day. I'm standing 2,115 metres above sea level on top of the Col de Tourmalet, and the wind always blows here. The riders come out of Spain this morning via the Col de Portelet, then over the Col d'Aubisque, then they cross the Tourmalet, and there are still two more climbs to come, including the finishing climb at Val Laurent. Luc Leblanc this morning in Haka signing in his yellow jersey. He'll need to be a very special rider if he's to lead the race by the end of this day. Greg LeMond should again be put under pressure, especially by the Spanish riders. This is the overall situation this morning. In the lead, Leblanc, 2 minutes 35 seconds ahead of Greg LeMond. Charlie Motte, the winner yesterday, in third slot. Maurizio Fondriest is fourth, and Miguel Indurain is fifth. And remember, he's won twice before in the Pyrenees. Pascal Richard, the new leader in the King of the Mountains, is sixth. Jean-Francois Bernard, seventh. Andy Hampsten, eighth. Gianni Bugno, ninth. And Pedro Delgado threatens in 10th slot. And the riders rolling out of Jaca this morning in Spain, heading back on the hilliest possible route into France. And also, the riders fined last night for not wearing crash helmets. 136 of them faced a £100 fine, so nearly £14,000 collected by the race referees last night, and I think it'll be the same today, because virtually no one is wearing a crash helmet today. Now, you may remember Zimmermann was riding the race yesterday under threat of disqualification from the Tour de France because he refused to take the official transport provided by the Tour on the rest day. Well, the organisation has reinstated Zimmermann, placed the complete blame on the manager of the Motorola team, that's Jim Okowitz, and they have now banned him from the Tour de France for the rest of the race. The race was in no hurry to meet the mountains this morning, and at 56 kilometres on the top of the Col de Portelet, Peter de Klerk, the former leader of the King of the Mountains, was first, Thierry Claverola was second, Pascal Richard in the polka dot jersey now was third, and the whole field was right behind them. Then there was a breakaway as they started the climb of the Col d'Aubisque, a 16 kilometres climb. Patrice Esnault, Yvon Madio and Guido Winterberg. They were caught by Gianni Bugno, Charlie Motte, the yellow jersey of Luc Leblanc, and Claudio Chiappucci, with the main chase group not very far behind. It was Winterberg who went over the summit first, followed by Chiappucci, Bugno and the yellow jersey of Leblanc. Greg LeMond was the best of the chase group, 15 seconds back. Andy Hampsten was there as well, and the whole field then started the descent. And the descent of the Aubisque is certainly not for the nervous. This is the descent where the riders can touch up to 60 miles an hour. And Greg LeMond, one of the finest descenders in the world, was soon passing Gianni Bugno, and so he was right back up with the leaders as they tore off towards the Col de Tourmalet. And on the Col de Tourmalet, a very select group made a steady pace all the way up, and they stayed more or less together. Greg LeMond, Indurain, Chiappucci, Gerard Rouet, Luc Leblanc, Charlie Motte, Andy Hampsten, Gianni Bugno, and the man that started the attack lower down the slopes of the Tourmalet, Conti, although here he has been dropped as the riders come up towards the summit. And in fact, the big name missing, Pedro Delgado, believed to be over 3 minutes behind. And Greg LeMond in trouble just before the top of the Tourmalet. He's dropped back. He knows he descends well. He did this on the climb too of the Aubisque, and I'm sure he will rejoin the leaders as they now start on their way down as Chiappucci goes over the top of the Tourmalet, followed by Indurain and Andy Hampsten. And we are now on the fourth mountain of the day, the Col d'Aspin, a second category climb, and it is here where the legs of the majority of the leaders have exploded. This is Greg LeMond now as he looks across and sees Gerard Rouet force the pace with Andy Hampsten, and this is not the leading group. This, in fact, now is the third group on the slopes of the Col d'Aspin. Out ahead and leading the race now, Miguel Indurain. He attacked on the approaches of the Aspin. He was joined by Claudio Chiappucci, and then Gianni Bugno, Laurent Fignon and Charlie Motte gave chase. They are riding, and here they are, just 2 minutes and 10 seconds behind the two leaders. And the group we just saw of Greg LeMond, Andy Hampsten, Gerard Rouet and Eduardo shows us they are 2 minutes 30 seconds back, and gone is the yellow jersey of Luc Leblanc. He just locked up, his legs just seemed to say enough. He fell back very, very rapidly from the group. And these are the two leaders we're looking at now. And number 35 is about 45 seconds away from being the new leader of the Tour de France. And that is Miguel Indurain. And whatever you said about Claudio Chiappucci last year as being a pretender in the Tour de France, well, eat your words, because today has been really his.
He's been incredible, but all since the beginning of the Tour de France, even on the flat stages, every time there was an opportunity he attacked. Today, Miguel Indurain was attacked, and it looks as if LeMond is on the floor. He's had a problem with the crowd there. It looks as if he's touched somebody. He's on the road. The mechanic is there pushing him away, but he's lost contact with the group. It definitely is not Greg LeMond's day today.
Well, let's have a look at that here. We can see what happens now. LeMond at the back of this group. He just went down, Paul. He just seemed to go down. Let the car behind may have hit him. In fact, the Gatorade car.
The Gatorade car just touched his back wheel, and that's how LeMond fell. But he's coming back to the group here. It just goes to show how dangerous it can be on these climbs. The Gatorade car was trying to come by to go up to Gianni Bugno, and it just caught the back wheel of Greg LeMond, and he was over. But he's back in the group, but that must have shocked him quite a lot there.
Well, that is amazing. LeMond
hit there by the team car of Gianni Bugno. Straight back on his bike, no time to complain to anybody, and he's gone back up into the group. But Lamont is not a happy man today. He's shown signs of the stress of the mountains here. And in fact, the man has done a great ride. Number 91, Laurent Fignon, he joined the front group, which was 10 strong at the start of the climb of the Aspin. He went straight to the front, and he's gone away with Bugno and with Motte in pursuit of Indurain and Chiappucci.
Fignon went over the top of the Tourmalet 1 minute behind the group of Le Monde. He had to chase all the way, and he only made contact just before the bottom of the Aspin. And the first thing he did was went to the front and started setting the tempo. And when Gianni Bugno attacked, Laurent Fignon responded to that attack, and now he's doing an extremely good ride.
So Fignon, the old man of the Tour de France, winner of the Tour twice in the early 80s, 83 and 84. And now, of course, trying to defend for his teammate Luc Leblanc, but Leblanc has blown to the world, and the last time check we got was 3 minutes and 40 seconds behind the two leaders, Indurain and Chiappucci. Gerard Rouet here, a little bit of a surprise, Rouet in this group, and a year ago he was a teammate of Laurent Fignon and Luc Leblanc. He switched across the Helvetia team this year. Josas, number 42, Andy Hampsten, number 71, having a good ride in the Pyrenees today. And Lamont has ridden his way back into this group and straight to the front. I'm wondering if the knock there, Paul, might release some adrenaline for Greg.
It might do, but I don't think it's going to be enough to pull him back up to the leaders because they look so good at the moment. This is Indurain on the front, sharing the lead with Chiappucci. Every time they lower the pace a little bit, they change over, and one will share with the other. They're doing an extremely good ride, building up that breakaway all the time.
Well, what a super crowd on top of the Col d'Aspin, seeing the Spanish rider and the Italian rider come to the top. Spain knew it was only a matter of time before they saw one of their riders out front, and it's the one they all wanted, of course, Miguel Indurain. He's won twice here in the Pyrenees. Not too far away from where we finished today is the small town of Cauterets. He won there. And now Indurain is driving the pace again over the top of the Col d'Aspin. The long, long descent, then the valley road, and then we enter the climb out of the valley to the top, and that is a climb of 7 kilometers. He's now got the race in his grasp if he can push home what he started today, and he knows the only man he's got to worry about at the moment at least is Claudio Chiappucci, anxious to get on with the chase, and he's already off downhill.
Well, he's straight away setting the pace on the descent here. Miguel Indurain won't let him get too far away because Indurain descends extremely well. In fact, it was on the descent of the Tourmalet that he managed to pull clear. As we go over the top here, we'll have a chance to see what damage has been done by this breakaway of the two riders, Chiappucci and Indurain.
Well, the crowd must have known something we didn't today, because normally the Col d'Aspin doesn't have many people on it. It's only a small climb. It is actually one of the most beautiful climbs here in the Pyrenees because it's slightly lower altitude, and the fields are lush green and the woods around are lush green as well. But they must have estimated that by the time the riders came to the fourth mountain of the day, the legs would be complaining a little bit, and that they've hung on to each other's shirt tails throughout the stage today. But on this climb, they have just cried enough, and the race has blown to the world. Over the top already, Indurain and Chiappucci heading up now towards the summit. The clock is counting down on the right of our screen there. The champion of Italy, Gianni Bugno, and at the back, the former double winner of the Tour de France, Laurent Fignon, and Savage in the middle, the man who says he's no interest in winning the Tour de France, only stages, Charlie Motte. And if he won this one today, Paul, and there's every reason to think he could because there's still a way to go, he would win 3 in a row. And I've really no idea who the last rider was, if indeed it's ever been done, 3 in a row.
Can't remember 3 in a row ever being won, but the thing about Motte, I think when he announced that he was no longer going to ride to try and win the Tour de France, it was like a liberation from him. He got a lot of problems off his shoulders, and he rides totally relaxed now. He just takes every day as it comes. And look at the time, it's going to be over 2 minutes as we come over the top of the climb here. Bugno doing all the work here. All he wants to do is try and get back into contention here.
So Bugno third at 2 minutes 10 seconds. The clock count, it might have been a bit less. And no, there's the line. 2 minutes 13 seconds now as Bugno goes over ahead of Motte and Fignon. But Greg LeMond now is in big trouble with the finishing climb still to come. And goodness knows what has happened to Pedro Delgado, but he's got to now be over 6 minutes back. We'll take a short break. So we're now on the final 3 kilometres of the climb to the finishing line, and Miguel Indurain is now the leader of the Tour de France, and that most certainly, Paul, is official. Gianni Bugno is chasing them alone behind, but these two have fended off and in fact pulled away since they made a very rapid descent of the Col d'Aspin. The situation on the road now, these two are leading Gianni Bugno by approximately 2 minutes and maybe 5 seconds. Motte and Fignon, the two French riders, are battling it out behind Bugno. Then we have a group containing Andy Hampsten, Gerard Rouet, Eduardo Chozas, Greg LeMond, and another Z rider, Eric Boyer, who came up like an express train after being a minute down on the top of the Aspin. And they're going back here now to what is the fight here for 5th place, and that is an attack by Laurent Fignon. He really has been looking like his old self again today.
You can see how he's really suffering now, how far forward he's sitting on the saddle. This man really can suffer. He knows Bugno's in front of him, but he knows LeMond is behind, and he's thinking maybe about a place on the podium in Paris. He's thinking also that the Tour de France is not over.
And there's Bugno now, heading up towards the finish. It won't be too long before he arrives up at the finishing line. And there are thousands upon thousands of people on top of the mountain at Val Laurent, and I've never seen a crowd like it. This is the first time the Tour has been here. Well, unbelievably, Paul Sherwin and I left our hotel at 10 minutes to 6 this morning, 2 kilometres inside the Spanish frontier, and within about 15 kilometres we were in horrendous traffic jams and worried we would not make the finish because of the number of cars that were heading out to the mountains on the French side of the Pyrenees. And here's a couple of examples of the Spanish as they run alongside Laurent Fignon. Oh dear me, I felt that one. And the Fignon not wanting anybody else, and the Spanish quickly backing off.
Well, it's very difficult for the rider. He's been suffering all day, and when you have someone running alongside you like that, it really does put you off your rhythm. Fignon just wants to suffer in silence. He knows the crowd's there, but it really is off-putting when someone runs alongside you like that.
Well, Laurent Fignon looking good again. Now, when he was knocked out of the Tour by that 8 seconds defeat by Greg LeMond in that remarkable time trial a couple of years ago, he didn't ride at all well last year, left the Tour in the first few days. He's not really had a great start to the season either, but he's prepared quietly for the Tour de France, made no comment, and now he's giving us his answer. He's riding this race very, very well indeed. He parts company with his manager, Cyril Guimard, at the end of this season. He will leave the Castorama team, and I would think after a performance like this, there'll be quite a few teams on the side. Look at this, though. Greg LeMond, Paul, is in trouble at the back of this group.
This has got to be one of the worst days in the life of Greg LeMond, I think. Whenever we look down at him, he's got his head bowed in agony. Every time Eric Boyer comes to a corner, he's looking round to see where LeMond is. He's waiting for him, trying to cheer him up, trying to help him, coach him all the way to the top of the climb. He's been left by Andy Hampsten and Chozas. And there, Eric Boyer stayed alongside him to try and make sure he limits his losses a little bit, because LeMond really is going through hell today.
Further up the mountain now, and the champion of Italy goes on relentless. Any more time checks, Paul?
No more time checks at the moment. There's been a few problems with the radio today, but I think Gianni Bugno seems to be closing in a little bit, still around the 2-minute mark, but the Greg LeMond group is still 5.5 minutes, and Laurent Fignon is about 25 seconds behind Bugno at the moment.
Well, for Bugno to take the race lead, he's got to make up a lot more time yet on the leaders, and I don't think he will, and that's for sure. Indurain now, who started ahead of him this morning, ahead of him on the road. Obviously, he will be the yellow jersey by the end of the day. Luc Leblanc, I think, will come in over 10 minutes behind. And sadly for us as British spectators, we haven't seen anything of Robert Miller at all today. He's been struggling behind the field since he cracked on the Tourmalet. And now it's 2 kilometres to go for Gianni Bugno, the winner of the stage at Alpe d'Huez last year, and now in the frame again in the mountains of the Pyrenees.
Well, the Spanish press at the start of the year weren't very kind to Bugno because he didn't ride well, but I think this man has meticulously prepared his Tour de France. He came to almost form at the right time for the Tour of Italy. He missed out on 1 or 2 of the mountain climbs, but I think now in the Tour de France he's at the top of his condition. We've seen him promise him all along through these flat stages, and now he really is there. But Fignon is a man who has surprised us too, because he's had a very hard time this year. Towards the end of Italy, he had to abandon the Tour of Italy, and then the race just before the Tour de France, the Tour of Puy, he managed to win a stage, and everyone said, well, it's not a really big race, but Fignon has shown that he's still got a bit of fight left in him.
And these two riders are going to have to decide sooner or later how they're going to sprint out the finish, because they're not too far from it now. Chiappucci setting the pace, and he's been very strong today, while Indurain waited until he felt the time was ripe to put in the killer blow. And here is Fignon under 2 kilometres to go, and judging by his tempo, you know, it would not surprise me if in those 2 kilometres he manages to sneak up on Gianni Bugno and beat him to the line. Indurain heading up now, 1 kilometre to go for the 2 top riders in the Tour de France today. Now, a year ago, Indurain at this point was leading Greg LeMond in the yellow jersey to the summit of Luz Ardiden, and then in the last 500 metres he dropped Greg and he won the stage and applauded the crowd. Now, today, the tables have turned. LeMond has gone probably the best part of 6 minutes behind and maybe more, and Miguel Indurain, when he gets to the summit, will probably again applaud the crowd, and this time he'll be pulling on the yellow jersey.
But while these 2 riders think about the sprint, we have to think about the time as well. Miguel Indurain needs 2 minutes and 9 seconds lead over LeMond, because Luc Leblanc is totally out of the picture. He's more than 8 minutes behind at the moment. So as long as LeMond comes in over 2 minutes and 9 seconds behind Indurain, he's going to put the yellow jersey on at the top of the climb. We've got a little bit of a downhill descent now into the finish line. It's quite tricky after such a hard climb. We'll have to see. Chiappucci's got the best position at the moment. Indurain's leading out, just thinking about the time that he can gain.
Well, these two must feel absolutely elated now. That left-hand bend indicating the end of such a cruel day in the Pyrenees. No more climbing today. And now they're heading down towards the finishing line. Chiappucci looks to me as though he's thinking of the stage win. And Indurain, you know, may not offer too much resistance, because Chiappucci more than pulled his weight in this breakaway, and it may be by way of a present. In fact, there's indication there from Indurain. Oh, it was the left-hand bend into the finish. As they swing now up towards the line, Indurain is going to lead them out for the finish. The clock is on. Look at this, 7 hours, 11 minutes, and there goes Chiappucci. Indurain chases him, but I don't think he will beat him. Chiappucci is back in the Tour de France in a big way, and a salute too from the new leader of the Tour, I'm sure about that, Miguel Indurain. And here is Bugno now heading up towards that same corner, so he's still a little way from the finish. And Fignon under the kilometre to go. He'll be delighted with his performance today. His team may have lost the individual lead in the Tour de France, but Laurent Fignon could find himself in the top 5 tonight now, and that will be a great performance for him. Here comes Bugno up towards the line. 1 minute 15 seconds has ticked by, and the champion of Italy comes home very much still in, with a big chance of winning this Tour de France when he goes to the Alps, because he's won there last year. 1 minute 28 seconds, the gap for Bugno. And Laurent Fignon swings into the home straight. He's hung on well to his 4th place, considering he was way off the back over the top of the coals. He chased, he caught up, he went with the lead split, and now he's going to be well pleased with 4th place today. The time gap not so bad either, 2 minutes 50 seconds down, and you can probably hear the cheer from the crowd. And the last few bends on this cruel day as Greg LeMond hangs on to his teammate Eric Boyer. Hanging on is the word. Boyer is actually waiting for him there. Looking back to the finish, this is Charlie Motte coming in 5th place. Frenchman who's won the last 2 stages of the Tour de France this year, now taking a 5th place and keeping himself right on top of the leaderboard. Well, at least among the leaderboard. 3 minutes 53 seconds for Motte. And Andy Hampsten coming in to take 6th place today, and although it's yet to be calculated, I think that Andy may now be the leader in the King of the Mountains competition. He scored well today. Andy Hampsten rode his first Tour de France, finishing 4th, the best rookie, back in 1986, but 6 minutes back for Andy Hampsten. Eduardo Chozas, he will take 7th place today. The riders coming in ones this Tour de France, which we've seen for the last 13 days, finish in big bunches, and now look at this, 6:23 down. So Greg LeMond coming in towards the finish. Here he is, a Boyer who's played the faithful domestique these last 30 kilometres, bringing him home just over 7 minutes back. Greg LeMond will finish in 9th place behind his teammate Eric Boyer, and the time gap, the clock will stop at 7 minutes and 16 seconds. Greg LeMond hasn't lost the Tour, but he's an awful lot of work to do now to win it.
What an absolutely superb day of racing we've seen today in the Tour de France. Let's first of all have a look at the day's result. A win for Claudio Chiappucci by a single second over Miguel Indurain. In third place, Gianni Bugno. In fourth, Laurent Fignon. And in fifth, Charlie Motte. Greg LeMond cracks in the last 50 kilometres today and finishes 7 minutes and 16 seconds behind the day's winner in ninth place. Now look at the face here of Miguel Indurain, the new leader of the Tour de France, and a man who I feel has felt he has accomplished his mission today. Ironically, as he was called up to pull on the leader's yellow jersey, his teammate Pedro Delgado was finishing over 14 minutes behind. Let's have a look then at the new overall classification. This is it. Indurain now leading Charlie Motte of France by 3 minutes. Bugno of Italy is third, Chiappucci of Italy is fourth, and Greg LeMond still stays in the top 5, but now he's 5 minutes and 8 seconds back. The day's yellow jersey, by the way, Luc Leblanc, finished over 12 minutes down today, and Robert Miller was almost 31 minutes back. The new king of the mountains, Claudio Chiappucci, the day's stage winner, and doesn't he deserve that? This will go down as one of the most historical days racing in the Tour de France, and it was a superb day. Tomorrow we'll be on the road again. Today, let's just savour what has been a fabulous day out. Goodbye.
Up the road, and Bardet will try and come across before we get to the summit.
Brave effort here by Daryl Impey. I think this possibly has to be a combativity award if they don't give it to Cummings himself, of course, who looks like a stage winner in waiting. We'll see if he manages to land it. 7.2 kilometres from home, 200 metres only before Steve Cummings starts finally to get some respite. He's going to pick up a whole load of mountains points as well, let's remind you. And look at the crowds. He's into the barrier section right now. Sean, he's going to be descending before you know it.
Yes, well, he's close to the summit of this one, and, you know, it's a real comfort for him when you know you're over a minute ahead. Navarro chasing. He's not the best of descender because he's a lightweight rider and he is not, you know, a real special descender, but it's going to be another stage victory for Steve Cummings because he can, you know, go down this descent well. He's a real good descender, and it's going to be a long descent now, 7 kilometres to finish, but we can see Navarro not, you know, really pushing on. Daryl Impey coming back to South African rider from Orica Bike Exchange, coming back to Navarro. That tells that Navarro is definitely not in his best shape, and he's lost, you know, so much time in the general classification. For Steve Cummings, another stage victory as he gets into the aerodynamic style on the descent.
So Steve-O is doing it for Team Africa. South Africa Daryl Impey moves into second place on this particular stage, but only just. He's in the company of Danny Navarro, so it'll come down to a duking out sprint between those two. And it's Alaphilippe who's kicked off here in the young rider's jersey. It said there was bragging rights and a jersey, a young rider's jersey, Sean, to be fought for, and he's battling to keep hold of it. You've got to appreciate that.
Yes, well, I'm asking myself, why is he going the attack? Because we don't have the riders yet who are challenging this competition out in front. Barguil, you know, he is not a rider, you know, who he did attack earlier on, but I don't think he's still out in front of the peloton. Maybe I could be wrong, but surprising to see Alaphilippe attacking here because, you know, there's going to be teams and riders that will continue on setting the pace.
I'm just wondering who he is most concerned about. Bardet's out of that young riders competition, just as they all do. Just got a little bit older, but Alaphilippe decides to push on. Julian Alaphilippe, I think he likes the limelight, quite frankly. There is Nibali, who crosses the Col d'Aspin peak right now, and I'm afraid, as has happened to so many in the breakaway, he's been found out. Alaphilippe looks strong. This is a Category 1 climb. There's a lot of speculation as to whether he can cope with a full tour of big climbs. Well, I guess the major questions concerning that will be tomorrow. Meanwhile, let's ask this question. Will Steve Cummings land the victory today, Sean? I think it's odds on now.
Yes, well, definitely. He is a real good descender, and with an advantage of a minute at the top of the Col d'Aspin. 7 kilometres to go. The riders we have chasing here, there's no possibility of getting back to Cummins, because he is, he's a pursuit for a great time trials, and out there on his own on this section, I don't think we will see them pulling anything back of that minute plus advantage.
Well, big holes knocked in the advantage of Greg Van Avermaet today, and of course I imagine the jersey will pass from his shoulders to somebody else tomorrow on stage 8 when we go to Bagnères de Luchon, the Tourmalet and the Baisse-Roude, don't forget. But look at the fights that are going on further behind as well. Still a brave effort here by Alaphilippe, but Sky have decided to up the tempo, and there is Dan Martin. Likewise, within this group, Alaphilippe's erstwhile teammate, and also going absolutely superbly on the high stuff. I think Alaphilippe will probably get beaten by Dan Martin tomorrow, but we'll see. 4 minutes and 6 then. Cummings' advantage back to this group as they crest. And plenty of hurt out there, Sean, along the way. This is Warren Barguil, who decided to push on and maybe went pop.
Well, I think, yes, we did talk about Dan Martin pushing on here, but again, those riders pushing on at the moment, there's not a lot to gain here. Dan Martin, wants them to string out the peloton. Maybe you want to get onto the descent in a good position.
Well, Alaphilippe did engage with a little bit of extra pace, and the man who paid the price, nearest man to him, it seems, in the classification, Warren Barguil, who really did try and push on but couldn't manage it himself. Here we go then, back with Steve Cummings, 3.3 from the finish line, just double checks into the corner. He's a good descender, Sean. We can have some faith in this. Let's just hope he keeps it clean all the way down. The dry conditions and indeed the sunshine, which there was a possibility this would be wet, so at least they have come to favour him as well today.
Yes, well, I think everybody will be welcoming the dry conditions. We did not get the thunderstorms we were expecting in the afternoon. Real good conditions for the descent, and Steve Cummings, a very good descender. He will be made aware at the top of the climb. He has over a minute in advantage, and Navarro, the one who was chasing with Darrell Impey, if he had Nibali at 15-20 seconds, that would be a concern, and that would be where you have to push on, take some risk on the descent. But for Steve Cummings, that wasn't the situation at all. He's going to get down comfortably here and take his stage victory.
Well, he's 1 kilometre away from the kick-up. He's on this little plateau right now, and then he will have a little climb to deliver another famous victory. How many more can this man rack up? Every time it happens, I think that's surely unlikely to happen again, but how wrong are we, Sean? He just keeps on doing it, this man.
Well, I think he's in the form of his life in the last number of years, and certainly this year he seems to be in form right through the season, and today, out of that very big group, it was very aggressive in that final 50 kilometres when they started attacking each other, and he realised that three-man breakaway, he was going to cross on his own. Then when they were being joined by another 9-man group, he decided now was the time to get away, and it was the good tactic to go for.
He picks the stages like a master, and then he acts upon those stages like an amazing performer. And it's a constant with this guy. He's just got to love his pluck, his guts, and his verve, because he's a kind of a showman, albeit a quiet one. And we love that. Intermont last year, Tour de France, he took it. He's got another Tour de France stage victory about to come his way. He took a stage on the Vuelta as well, we remind you. So it isn't just one Grand Tour that he can illuminate, and he's done it again today. He took an individual stage in the same circumstances on the Dauphiné, also in the Tour of the Basque Country and the Tirreno Adriatico. You can't keep a good man down, and Steve Cummings is a very, very good man.
Yes, well, he's proved today here. He just went out and won it by being the best man out of that 29-man group. Last year when he won on Monday, the French did say, oh yes, the French guys, they looked at each other, and if they didn't have done that, well then it would have been a different outcome. Here today, Cummins the way he'd won this one, you know, chapeau. He's just taking it up before the climb, and to do that, to take it up before a fourth category climb, you know, a number of kilometres out, that is, you know, a very, very confident guy, and he was definitely, you know, feeling real good, because the way he held off the chasers there on the climb, performance, you know.
This is a man who never looks for excuses. He looks for opportunities, and when they present himself, he takes a step forward. Well, he needs to take a bow, because Steve Cummings has done it again. What an amazing piece of individual endeavour. He's got all the time to think about how to celebrate, but as always, he's just going to keep it simple. He's just going to punch the air, and a bigger smile you'll be hard pushed to find. He roars not only for himself, not only for Dimension Data, but for all of Team Africa. Oh, how cool was that? Well, the clock now counts back, and who's going to bring it in? An enormous cheer for Cummings as he crosses the line in front of our commentary position. There'll be a lot written about that man, you can bet. And what a fabulous personality he is. So, Sean, we've got a sprint for second place. It's minor places only. Will it be Impey who finds something in his legs as Danny Navarro lets something behind? They look back. A little smile from Impey maybe suggests, will it be an Africa 1-2 in a certain way?
Yes, I think Impey will take this one. Danny Navarro, you know, he's not fast at all in the sprint, and he's, you know, pushing on here. Impey in the best position, so I think we will definitely see Impey take second place on stage.
Well, a little bit of cat mousing going on right now, but the cat that played with everybody today, and the one that's got the cream, is, of course, Steve Cummings. This for minor places, and Darryl Impey of South Africa decides to push on. Can Navarro get back to him? The answer, sadly, for Navarro is not today. Impey second place on the stage, Navarro in third, and what a performance by Greg Van Avermaet. Well, the power of yellow, Sean, and it has shown itself to be exactly that. A powerful incentive, holding on to the leader's jersey, and he's going to do that.
Yes, well, he's definitely going to do it. He's going to hold on to, you know, a bigger advantage again. He's going to pull out that advantage on the challengers in the general classification, who are all back in peloton. We did see Alaphilippe there, Valverde. He's, you know, going to take at least, you know, another 3 minutes plus in the overall standing.
The pack come in onto the flat ground here, but Nibali, well, has his challenge gone flat today? Not quite sure. There may well be other days. He said he was pleased now that he has a free hand. I think possibly after today, Sean, he's going to be called onto nursing duties to help Aru more than perhaps he did today.
Well, I think there will be times in this race where he will be called to look after Aru, but I think there's a lot of days where Nibali will get his chance and the opportunity to get into breakaway. He's definitely, you know, coming back. We see him there finishing 2:15 on the winner.
Oh, the Flamme Rouge has been punctured, and as a result there is going to be a neutralisation, I suspect, of some times here, Sean. They've got no other choice.
No, I think we will have to you know, be given the time for the peloton at the Flamme Rouge now, because a lot of riders are delayed here. We can see here, you know, the riders just struggling, and the motorbike cameras to get through and to get under that final kilometre.
So they'll take the time at the Flamme Rouge, so there will still be an advantage for this man, but what a brave push this has been. We'll have to work out the time gaps a little bit later. No doubt about the winner, no doubt about the leader though, Sean, and what a great day this has been. First day in the mountains on this Tour de France.
Well, what a battle today. 49 plus kilometres average. We did see, you know, just under 4 hours of racing. Steve Cummings, you know, he had that minute and a number of seconds at the top of the climb of Col d'Aspin. At the finish here from Darryl Impey and Navarro, still 1:06. So Cummings losing nothing on that descent.
Well, they've got all the data they need, don't forget, to find out where the riders were when the Flamme Rouge went down. And that's the discussion that's going on at the moment, as you can see. That is Chris Froome and Valverde just sorting out a few issues, or maybe just shooting the breeze today. Great to see them here, Sean, our gladiators that will engage in battle tomorrow on the road to Bagnères de Luchon, but take nothing away from today. We've had royal entertainment, and thank you to Steve Cummings for that.
Yes, well, what a fabulous stage. We can see here the peloton just rolling in, 4 minutes down on the winner. So, as we mentioned, Van Avermaet is going to, take some time again, but again, tomorrow is going to be the big difficult day for him. But the riders in the breakaway, some of them, what a performance, and for the yellow jersey to be in the breakaway, you have to say as well, congratulations to Greg Van Avermaet, but Steve Cummings, the ride of the day.
Well, Valverde still continuing his conversation with Chris Froome as they come to the line here. Don't worry about the time, it will be amended because of the
they're just peeling off because he is being doing a huge amount of work, but still Chris Froome, he has 3 teammates in front of him here. We can see with Movistar there's 3 riders in total, so Valverde and Quintana, they have Jan Izagirre, and it's going to be interesting who is going to go in the attack. If you look at BMC, for example, Richie Porte, who has lost a little bit of time because of that mechanical he had in the stage into Sherbrooke, where he lost a minute and 40, I think it was, or a little bit more. Will he try something? Because if he tries something, will he be allowed a little bit of room to go in the attack, or will he be closed down immediately by the big favourite?
That's the question. Those who do have a little bit of a deficit, I don't think Froome. I don't think Froome would like to see Porte go up the road, despite the fact their friendship has sustained since Porte left the BMC. But those who are here, I don't know whether another team like Movistar will be allowed to have a go. Just who was that off the back? That's the big question. Was it Valverde? Let's have a quick look.
Jan Izagirre.
It was Jan Izagirre, so that's that theory in the bin. There he is, 40 minutes down.
I should have taken your money. You were very confident there for...
You sure should have done, but that'll go down as an error then. Jan Izagirre, who has remained unshaven for this one. I think Valverde's had the razor out. 19.6 kilometres and 4 Ks from the top, and the pace is absolutely relentless, Sean.
Yes, and we can see once again it's Mikel Nieve there who is just working away at the front, but the pace is tapping away. We can see riders here just having difficulty hanging in here, and it's causing a lot of problems. We can see riders just fighting out of the saddles, a lot of bike movement trying to cling on in there, but it's a long way to the top, and if there's a little bit of acceleration, we will see
dedicated accommodation buses instead of using hotels. They were then banned because teams complained that was an unfair advantage. What about just nipping home for a kiss?
Well, nipping home for the stage victory, or nipping home to go asleep. And first of all, yes, you have to stay in the hotel provided by the Tour de France. The riders are not allowed to go home. Yes, if you're living close by, of course, you can do that for a short period, but for the night you have to be in the hotel. You have to be there the next morning for the doping control if they come and want to control some riders from the team. So you have to give all of that data to the hotels, but they automatically have it in the Tour de France because the hotels are booked by the Tour de France organisation. But from a point of view of you're living in this area, stage victory, as we said earlier on, a stage victory in Tour de France, you never get that cadeau easily.
No, you don't. Just looking at Sebastian Reichenbach, Manny Buchmann as well, a great prospect. From speculation as to whether a breakaway would be allowed to go today, and you've had your answer. Team Sky are interested, very much so. Chris Froome is not handing out any presents, just Leica, who was hoping for a gift, I think. Yates is doing a fantastic job on behalf of Orica Bike Exchange. Adam Yates, remember the Flamme Rouge that tumbled yesterday? He was the rider that got tagged. He's got facial bruising. It seems he's used his adrenaline and his anger maybe to help him, and here we are. This is Valverde as the bridge is over and just tries to stop any movement. It's Henao that's just pushing on, and there goes Valverde and closes it down. Froome and Quintana in close attendance, and Dan Martin, and it's 5 that have gone, and there's everybody else missed the boat. Aru's frantically trying to get back in himself. Aru's trying to get over, but can't do it. They'll keep this hurt going, Sean.
Yes, well, we can see there, yes, the Team Sky with Sergio Haino just putting in a big punch there, and Valverde immediately marking him with Quintana on wheel, and then we can see Chris Froome and Dan Martin just clawing his way back in there. Aru also we could see from Astana just trying to get back, but I don't think they're going to walk up front, and we will see all coming back together.
There we are, and a great push by TJ Van Garderen and Richie Porte to drag this one back over. Aru basically looked back and said, come on, help. Simple as. Wanted more hands on the pumps to put that particular fire out. But what was impressive there, apart from anything else, Sean, was the ease with which Dan Martin followed on.
Well, we could see there that, you know, that sudden acceleration by the Team Sky rider, Sergio Haino. The others maybe not trying immediately, because if you really try and mark the acceleration of those better climbers.
Great effort by Wilco Kelderman to be in this position as well, Sean, particularly after his mishap on the descent earlier on, and he is here. There is Contador, also at hand is Romain Bardet, and Froome goes. I don't think he wants Bardet anywhere near the front when we come to the descent. Froome's a pretty decent descender himself, and Froome goes. Quintana stays with him. Dan Martin's also in the house here, as you can see, and TJ and Porte also still at hand, and just a little bit further back down, it's Wilco Kelderman, the last man in that little push, but they're going away off the front. It's fracturing, and here we are. The greats are going for it, and Dan Martin can count himself as amongst them here. Froome has a look over and sees who's around, and Dan Martin goes on the attack now. 17 kilometres to go. He's just coming up to the peak, and then it will be this downhill run. So who's in the house? Dan Martin at the moment is the innkeeper. Oh, they're starting to roll and issue the punches, doing the old 1-2, and some maybe have been knocked out. Kelderman still struggling at the moment. Froome's there. Quintana looks like he's hardly opened his mouth here. Quite remarkable the way his face just gives nothing away at the moment. Giving it away, Pierre Rolland. I'm afraid that's the end of him for today. 16.8 kilometres to go as we just get up here. That's Contador just battling with the bike as well. Some great moves here, Sean. Some being marked out and some being found out.
Well, yes, it's normal that we're seeing, you know, the gap to Haino goes to the front once again, pushes on with Chris Froome. Quintana there very close. Interesting one. We can see BMC, Richie Porte and TJ Van Garderen very much to the fore here, as Haino continues just to push on the front of this group.
So maybe it will be a big test of a descender. Now, we've spoken about Romain Bardet. He is here from AG Tour Le Mondial, and you can be sure that he's going to have a go at the descent. There he is, number 41 with the brown shorts. Louis Meintjes also within this group, but the best descender is Barguil. 1 kilometre to go to the crest, and then they will be descending. Goodness me, this is dramatic. Contador, who's again, Bardet does go, it's his attack, and this is to get to the fore right on the descent. Quintana that goes with him. Chris Froome also wants to stay on his coattails, and it may well be just that for Bardet. He's an absolutely wicked descender. And out goes Jacques Fischer through as well. Valverde and Quintana counter-punching, but it's Quintana at the moment that's on the front. In fact, I'm looking for Valverde. He's at the back, just struggling to stay with. Maybe offer something to Quintana a little bit later on. Froome out of the saddle as well. Richie Porte just on his shoulder. Super stuff, Sean, and still 700 metres to go to the peak.
Well, super stuff by the Colombian riders. Haino, you know, the Colombian rider from Sky, Quintana from Movistar, and they're really battling here on the front. We can see Contador battling to try and, you know, make his way back in, but Haino once again, you know, takes control in the front and starts to calm the situation. Bolton Molema from Tech, Rodriguez from Katusha. Chris Froome, of course, also very much up in the general classification, but Warren Barguil, will he try something on the descent? Will Valverde try to do something? And it could be all down to, you know, the very sprint to the line here.
impeccable fans here, the Basque, the Spanish and the French. They have come out in their hordes. Quintana manages to grab a bottle and Froome goes on the attack on the descent here. He wants a bit of space between himself and everybody else. He'd like to time the trial this one in, and suddenly the alarm bells go off behind. Quintana looks behind and says, "Where's Valverde? Where are you when I need you?" And here we go. Froome is on full attack here. We said he might reach out for glory, and that's exactly it. On his case is Valverde guiding Quintana down this mountain. What a dramatic finish to what a great day, Sean.
Well, yes, it's always, built up to be one of the big stages, and is not certainly, leading us down in that way. We can see out in front here, still pushing on, but again, with that group of riders, Chris Froome, I think it's going to be a difficult one for him to stay out in front of a group with, a lot of riders with interest of trying to get something out of the stage, notably stage victory.
80 kilometres per hour he touched just a few moments ago. He's in that familiar, what's now almost becoming de rigueur, the most aero way. It's not comfortable, and maybe it's not pretty, but it's certainly effective, and he's keeping a margin. 84 kilometres an hour he just nudged into there. Mouth agape, as you can see, and he's determined to make this stick, Sean.
Yes, well, he is not letting up at all. He's giving his all here and trying to get into that aero position and pedal as well, and we've seen that of recent years, riders doing that more and more. Very difficult to do at an end of the stage, because with the muscles getting so tired you can get cramps very, very quickly, but they stay down in that position, and he's going at majorly fast.
He's not giving up at all, and why would he? He's invested so much so far. He's going to take a dividend, is he? 12 seconds now.
Yes, well, he is holding on there to that, 10 to 12 seconds in advantage, and the important thing at the finish is there is bonifications here, 10, 6 and 4, so that is going to be important. And of course, some of the riders, who are in a better position than Chris Froome in the general classification, they might start riding also, notably Adam Yates. He's in a real good position.
Than Chris Froome appears to be. What a sail through that corner it certainly was. Don't forget, if you're out there, you get nobody to follow. Not that you probably want to out here. Every single curve here, Sean, he's just hitting the apexes absolutely beautifully. He's maxing out, and here comes the chase. It's being led by Valverde with Quintana behind, Enau sitting in, and there is, of course, Kreuziger, the man who may well break the heart of Contador first. At the back is Adam Yates in the Young Riders jersey. If Froome fails to nail it and indeed take the bonuses, it may well be that he's in yellow later on today. We shall see. 9 kilometres remaining, less than that right now. The flat plateau, Sean, and the lead in. It's going to turn into be a very, very quick finish, and still he stays in this ungainly position. It's aero, it's effective, it's not pretty, at least today.
Well, what a ride here by Chris Froome, and to take the race on like this in a final, and taking a lot of risk as well, and surprising to see him do that, because you would expect him to wait for maybe a better occasion, but he's not backing off at all here, and we can see the group still. Valverde trying to chase on here, and interesting to see. He's out of sight.
He's out of sight. I think he's 15 seconds or more. We don't have a gap at the moment. Telemetry's just let us down, but we'll get a view of it. Yates just hanging on, and they're looking. They're spearing down the road, and he is out of sight, not out of mind, that's for sure. And he's minded to take control of this. He's a minute 17 down, 6.5 kilometres remaining of today, and what a day it could well turn out to be. And going for this from distance, Bauke Mollema is that decides to punch on, is it? Let's have a quick look, or is this out of one of the subgroups? There it is with Contador that we're looking at right now. Also Wilco Kelderman, but Froome maintains it. Phenomenal. 6 kilometres remaining. Take it easy, Chris. Big corner. Oh, over to the side of the road. Does a good job. Threading the needle, Sean. He's doing a terrific job here.
My God, the descent he's making is, I'm scared here, and 22 seconds at the moment, back to the Quintana Valverde group, and they're doing everything to try and close down this gap, and we know Valverde, he's a brilliant descender, but still Chris Froome is pulling the advantage out.
He is. We saw his demeanour. He wasn't giving anything away. Micah asked for mountains points. No, you're going to have to work harder for that, he says. Chris Froome's working very hard at the moment. He's invested massively in this descent, and he's threading it, a golden thread, if you like. He's creating something very, very special at the moment. 5.2 kilometres and a proper gap, nudging the 20-second mark over Quintana, and more, 24 seconds we just hit there, Sean. I think he's going to bring this one in, provided he stays safe.
Yes, it looks like that he's going to hold on, and I was expecting, a lot of riders to take up the chase here, and Valverde, I was expecting him to be able to close down this gap, but the way Chris Froome has, attacked this descent, he has just got down at an amazing speed and, taking huge risk, and we can see now 23 seconds, and he's going to move into yellow because he was, Adam Yates at 550, Froome at 557, so he was only 5 seconds off the yellow jersey here, and with the advantage you have and the time bonification, he's going to take, very valuable time and bonifications also.
Well, Chris Froome's known for once he takes yellow, holding on to it, and he's reached out for it with both hands, and it's hard to see with this sort of level of determination anyone persuading Chris Froome to release it from his grip. They go to Arcalis tomorrow, Sean, and he could carry yellow well into the rest day, and then, well, the question is who is going to have the bettering of Chris Froome on this kind of performance and this kind of team performance as well.
Well, when you look at Team Sky, the way they've been controlling the race over the last number of days, it's the same as if they had the yellow jersey, so why not go for yellow jersey, and any occasion that you get, try and take some time. And Chris Froome, I think, with Quintana, any opportunity he gets, he wants to take it, as we can see Pierre Roland after sliding out in one of the corners.
Yep, he's taken a tumble. He's lost a bit of material here as well. It looks like his skin is intact, which will be a better night's sleep for him. Sleeping sweetly tonight after great endeavour surely will be Chris Froome. He leans in to get another corner. 3.2 for home, Sean, and it looks like he's bringing this in. I'm not suggesting the chasers have given up the ghost. It's just that what on earth can they do to match the pace that's being put in by Chris Froome at the moment?
Well, we can see here it's Richie Porto is pushing on with TJ Van Garderen, and that's, I think it's a little bit too late now because 2.7 to go. If Chris Froome had that 20 seconds plus advantage, he should be able to hold on at this point.
2.4 kilometres only remain intact. The team, his physical condition, his mental condition apart from anything else. He's about to take the Flamme Rouge. Let's hope it doesn't deflate. And Aru decides to start wrestling for some extra bonus seconds. Quintana's live to the idea as well and starts chasing after him. Aru will get a few valuable seconds back. And I think that's Richie Porte by the look of his style, just racing on as well. But it's all about Chris Froome today. And what a day it has been for him. Here we go, the Flamme Rouge, Sean, and he's done the hard work now.
Yep, well, I think it's over now for the stage victory. It's definitely going to be Chris Froome. He just has to, keep it upright. 17 seconds was the last time check. Gone through the final kilometre here, but there is a few more corners to be negotiated. But the way Chris Froome is handling here, I don't think there's anybody going to get near him.
I don't think so. And Chris Froome, what an amazing character he is. He has the face of a choir boy, and he has the mind of an assassin. And bringing it in, Sean, this is genius.
Well, for the defending champion, the way she's doing it here is amazing. Who would have expected Chris Froome to go in the attack on the descent? You would expect him to try something on the mountaintop finishes, but any occasion he feels that he can take something, and Quintana is going to be the one who's going to lose very valuable seconds with Chris Froome, finishing 15 seconds maybe ahead, but the time bonus also.
This has been an absolute privilege. If you have seen this today, you know you are looking at a great rider. Approaching 100 metres to go, and he's still burying himself. Every second counts as far as Chris Froome is concerned, and now we start to count, and it's a cost that others are going to have to pay on an amazing day for Chris Froome. Dan Martin wants to at least be part of the story today. He finished in second place ahead of Pareto and Bardet. But the name that will ring large and echo through the valleys here is that of Froome. Look at the smiles of his teammates, Sean. They know they set out with a task at hand, and they know that they have achieved that. Great industry, poise and deliverance.
Well, when you look at Team Sky, the way they have delivered today and the other days previous, they dominated the controlling of the race, and it's an amazing performance by the team, but what a performance by Chris Froome on that final descent.
There we go, comes in with a puncture. There'll be other bruises, wounds and technical conversations to be had tonight. But there is no doubt there is a warrior above all others, at least today. And it's hard to see past Chris Froome when he's functioning so well and he's got the backup of such an amazing team. And what a way to take yellow, Sean. What a way.
Well, what a performance. And we could see, the other riders in the end trying to limit their losses. We could see Aru going in the attack there. I think Dan Martin was the one who got second place. It looked like they had lost 13 seconds. We could see Joaquim Rodriguez also very close there, but Chris Froome 13 second advantage plus 20 second bonification. Meaning, the top guys in the top 10. We did see yesterday on the final climb where when they went into the attack, very late in the stage, there were gaps that would appear, and I'm wondering, will we see some attacks today? But the peloton is a long ways out because our leaders have still 6.4 to go to the finish.
Still wrestling with it, and Micah and Pinot are wrestling with each other, and they've injected a little bit of pace. They leave Winner Alicona behind. And here we go, trying to just bridge over, and rain at the finish, and we've got a proper storm. It's just hoving in right now, and I can tell you, we can barely see out of the commentary positions. It's lucky it's not a descent, so they're going to find rain in just a few moments' time. We're going to have pictures of the finish line. I might well put my hand out and with the risk of getting struck by lightning, give you a wave in a moment if it's opportune. Let's have a look. 6.2 kilometres then, and Tom Dumoulin is the first to get into the moisture. He just tries to wipe his nose clean of it. Keeps his nose out front though at the moment. 9 minutes and 20 relay issue due to the storm. Well, we said that might happen. That should be the last thing we need, frankly, if we lose pictures at a moment such as this. Let's keep our fingers crossed, shall we? 6 kilometres from the line then, and suddenly Rui Costa finds himself in the company of Micah, who checks over his shoulders to see where here we are. This is the finish line at the moment. We're nowhere near the commentary position. That's 25 metres away. So our position is just behind. Oh, here we are. Here's a chance. Here's the hand. There's me waving underneath the Vintel sign. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of it. We're hoping we will. I think it's the second live wave you've had. 5.8 kilometres from home, 9 minutes and 17. It's great to have your company here on Eurosport, your home of cycling. We look back and, goodness me, look at it. There's hail amongst that as well, or is it just bouncing beads of water? I think possibly the latter, but you never know.
It's a problem.
Oh, you may well get a bit of back wheel slip if it was even steeper gradient, but thankfully even the gradients are coming towards us, as you can see. The pursuers are 44 seconds behind Tom Dumoulin. He's got 5.4 kilometres to continue his uphill time trial, Sean.
Yes, and that's exactly what he's been doing for quite a while. He's into time trial mode, and he was in that position on the earlier slope, and he's going to continue, just, keep walking away at it, keep it close to the 100%, and with that advantage, it's going to be interesting. Can he hold on? But 5.3 kilometres on this sort of finish, because there's a lot of steeper stuff to come here at this stage in the race. Well, it's going to be a matter of how much energy they have left. He's in a really good position, but it's still not over.
Wow, look at the little the car here is just cutting a way through, and they're cutting a furrow as well, these guys. Still, Rui Costa keeps it going in the company of Micah. That's Alicona with Thibaut Pinot, and so Micah is going to get more climbing points at the moment, provided well, let's see how this battle ensues, shall we? With 5 kilometres to go, Tom Dumoulin up front by a margin of more than 40 seconds, and on the switchbacks you can probably have a look back down the mountain. He crosses the 5 kilometres to go line. I'm not sure whether he's actually in the ice section right now, and in fact the hail has turned to just plain old rain, but you can see the hailstones at this point, Sean. That part of the cloud is now bombing these guys.
Yes, well, it is a real downpour, and I suppose the lucky thing, the only thing I can take from it, that I get it at this point in the race, because if we had got it, inside before the 50 kilometres, 60 kilometres to go, well, then it would have been, a real dangerous and technical final. So I think they will be happy with that. But again, it's not easy.
Sean, is it going to stick if they possibly went for?
I would be expecting Nibali, of course. The wet conditions never bother him. Will he try and go in the attack, maybe with Aru on tow, possibly go on the attack alone, and then Aru tries to come across and steal some very valuable seconds as we go towards the finish.
Dan Martin could take a big leap forward today. If we know he's got guts and verve, and he's on home ground here essentially, lives in Andorra. It would be fantastic to see him making a move. He's just moved over to the right-hand side of the group, so if you get a heads-up shot, you will see his familiar nodding form. I think Dan Martin may well be tempted today, but he's going to have a marker, and it might well be Chris Froome himself. We'll see. Here's Tom Dumoulin, and look at the furrow he's cutting through here and kicking up a rooster tail off his back wheel with 4.4 kilometres to go, and you can see the beads of, hailstorms.
They always throw up very, very difficult stages. The breakaway, as we had forecasted, we're going to see a battle between the guys for the stage win. Will we see something between the general classification men? There's certainly enough time, because they're 8.5 minutes further down the mountain.
Look at this. Well, we had summer. It's been rudely interrupted. I'm just grateful at the moment we haven't got thunder and lightning, because lightning can interfere with all the electrics. Meanwhile, Nieve as well has been relieved of his duties.
Henyo should be there. We should see Geraint Thomas also. So I expect to have, at least 2 teammates with Chris Froome at the moment.
Well, a man who clearly wasn't very well sighted, almost interfering with the race. And here we go. This is about markers, and it's Dan Martin that sets off in hot pursuit. This is absolutely superb. Dan Martin, we thought might have something left in the bank. Did we? Well, Chris Froome marks him out. Landed just over to one side, and Martin goes through it with Chris Froome in attendance. There's Adam Yates as well as part of this group. It's been a fantastic tour for the English speakers, should we put it that way. Dan Martin racing for Ireland, of course, and racing at home here in Andorra, and this man possibly bringing it home. The stage, that is 3.3 kilometres, and we reckon his gap is still over 40 seconds short.
Yes, well, we haven't got a time check. We can see here that Rui Costa, Rafa Majka, are pushing on well here, working together, and that does help. That little bit of a recovery in the wheel, although on the offset doesn't make an awful lot of difference. But the surprising one is here that Henyo is going the attack, and it's Dan Martin who was chasing. We can see now that looking at each other here. I'm not too sure exactly what the tactic is. We did see that yesterday as well in the final time of the day, where Henyo went in the attack. I'm afraid that Chris Froome, he will just allow him to take 10-15 seconds, then he will put in that attack and try and get across to his teammate.
Yes, it is, forgive me, and just looking at Richie Porte actually going for it as well on one of our sub-streams here. Richie Porte has made his move. Well, we said that BMC have kept their powder dry on a very, very wet day, and here goes Richie, and look at the ice, they're almost golf ball size right now. This is going to hurt. First man to experience them is going to be Dumoulin, but he's got 2.8 kilometres left to go, and there's ice bouncing all over the finish line here. It actually may well be a whiteout. The road is holding it at the moment. This man's holding a lead. Oh my goodness. 8 minutes and 12, and the crowd need to be careful here. They've made a nuisance of themselves. And Aru has been dropped. Aru is further back, and the pace that's been put in right now has hurt Aru, and Chris Froome responds at tail 5. Old teammate saying goodbye to Porte, and guess who's with him? It's of course Quintana, and this is going to be yet more time that this pair puts into absolutely everybody else, you might say. Well, Porte's trying to bridge over and at least hold on. Dan Martin is the first man that he's going to find here. It's going to be Porte, but the conditions are absolutely atrocious. It may well be a snow shovel required at the front here. That gentleman needs to get himself out of harm's way as Chris Froome issues yet more note notice that this is going to be his race, is it? Well, not if Quintana can help it. He gives a nod and says, no, I'm not going to take it, and so they back down. Froome was trying to force an alliance there, and it's Port that's managed to bridge over because Quintana didn't want to help out.
No, well, Chris Froome there just putting in the effort and having a look around to see who was following, and of course Nairo Quintana is the man who was just, sitting there at the wheel, but now Port is going to try and go in the attack, and we can see the group of favourites there is totally exploded as Dan Martin makes his way across.
Adam Yates just behind Dan Martin. Bardet also for AG Tour Mondial in the house. What a fantastic performance it is by the young man. 2.3 kilometres to go. I think it's possibly less than that. I think the ticker may well have jammed, and hardly surprising it's been bombarded with ice at the moment. Ice cool Port comes to the front once more. 8 minutes gap that is between this man, and look at the ice on the road rolling all over the place, and the fans still won't be sated in their desire to call this man home. There's a loud hailer that's going to hurt the eardrums, I can tell you, but right now it's a drum beat that's being posted, and Dan Martin goes for it. Dan Martin rolls off the front. Now don't forget, he could well be attacking for yellow. Dan Martin doing a fantastic job. Now Chris Froome, is he minded to follow on, or is he prepared to lend the jersey? I don't think so. He's going to fight back into this one. It's dangerous conditions now, Sean, and it may well be a traction issue on the last push for home for this man.
Well, it's not looking great there, although there's not that much hailstone on the road for the moment. I think they should be okay, but you have to be a little bit careful on the corner, and we can see there Dan Martin being allowed a little bit of leeway by Chris Froome, but I'm concerned that it might not be for long. And 1.8 to go for Tom Dumoulin. He has about 40 seconds that we're hearing there on the two chasers at the moment, Moika and Rui Costa, and we can see Dan Martin just continuing on here with Chris Froome back on his wheel.
Dan Martin kicks again. It's only 17 seconds Dan Martin's deficit, 4th overall. And it's just kind of largely ignored, particularly by the French press, who were all over Julien Alaphilippe, appreciating that young man's efforts, of course. But Dan Martin, here he is, and clearly option number one for Alex Quickstep. He bares his teeth and goes again, changes cadence, and Froome doesn't follow this time by. I don't know whether that's by the design or whether he's just holding cadence, or whether he's actually, at the moment, Dan Martin's just got a little bit more to lay on the line at the moment. 1,600 metres only for Tom Dumoulin out front. But this is a battle, Sean. This is what counts. This is for the yellow jersey, and it's Port that goes and almost assists Chris Froome here, his old erstwhile teammate. And Port would love to get back into the fun today, would he not?
Yes, well, we can see Richie Port there. He's looking around quite a lot. I think he's on duty for TJ Van Garderen. He goes to the front, takes it off a bit, looks around, and here he knocks it off because he can see TJ Van Garden's a bit further off. Dan Martin also, he knows that, Adam Yates, cruising together, all losing contact here, so it's an opportunity for him to gain some time.
Absolutely. 1,300 metres only, 1.3 kilometres. That's for Tom Dumoulin. We're doing the honour. All the ice has incidentally melted on the warm road, and there, melting the challenge of this man, Aru, 23 seconds down at the top of the day, and look at the gap, Sean. Yet again, more heartbreak, and Nibali looks at him and says, come on then, you're the team leader, aren't you? Well, you need to help each other out. Will he actually be able to help himself, though, Aru? In the end, Nibali is working for him, working against absolutely everybody. Just Froome at the moment, he's isolated, no more teammates around him, and he's going to have to go for this, and digs very, very deep right now.
As we see, Volker Mollema putting in an attack here, and apologies, Yates, I thought he was a little bit further off there with Cruisinger, but he's back in the group with Chris Froome, Dan Martin, and Volker Mollema from Trek, Segafredo putting in an attack here, and still Froome closing him down.
Flamme Rouge indicated for Tom Dumoulin, and in fact there it is. They actually had a double marker there, rather confusingly, but here it is. They've fixed the air bridge, and underneath it he goes. What a fabulous effort by Tom Dumoulin, the man that led the Vuelta last year with such aplomb. Didn't have the team backup when he needed it from Giant Alpecin. This year they said they were going to offer it to him. However, he didn't have too many teammates around him today because of his deficit overall, so it's going to be a stage victory for Dumoulin. But Look what's going on amongst the yellow jersey group. 18 kilometres per hour with 800 so metres to go for Dumoulin until he reaches the line. Much more racing to be done amongst these guys. Mollema just engaged a little bit more of pace there. Mollema started the day 23 seconds down. So all these guys have a big interest in going for it. Mollema's going for it again. Is Chris Froome going to be lent on to go for this? Quintana also thinking about having a go. Froome changes the cadence, looks up, looks back down. Mollema, is it sustainable by him? This is brilliant stuff. All of them duking it out, Sean. The main players that remain are here and together, save for Aru, who's
back together, as you can see here, and they've been, pulled along by both Mollema here, but Chris Froome, impressive there. Anybody that makes a move, he just latches onto the wheel and follows on here, and we can see further back in the group, guys losing a bit of ground, then clawing their way back, and will there be a big one from Chris Froome in the final kilometre, 1500 metres.
Here he is, Tom Dumoulin. A little bit of a flatter section for him to enjoy, if he possibly could, in this weather. Well, he stormed the Vuelta last year. He didn't win it. Finished sixth, I think it was, at the end of that great race. Today, though, he's going to come to the line first. He did that before, of course, on the Tour of Spain. Now he's doing it at the Tour de France, and all credit to him. A man who was never going to let his head bow on a day such as this. He made the calculation absolutely perfectly in atrocious conditions. Well, I guess you might say the Netherlands is a pretty wet place. Perhaps he feels at home. He's going to be made to feel very much so here. And he roars his appreciation as the crowd shout back at him as well, Sean. What a great day for Tom Dumoulin this has been.
Yes, well, to repeat last year's performance in the Vuelta, a lot of people were expecting that from Tom Dumoulin. He's done it now, winning a major stage in the Pyrenees.
Tom Dumoulin grins a broad smile. Look at that. Thank you very much, he said. Into the clouds which have just burst, and he burst back into our consideration. Not maybe for the overall. That's further down the mountain, of course, and a mountain still to climb, I think you might say, in terms of opposition. Oh, Dan Martin's just got on the attack as well as we roll away the pictures wide. And look at this, there's fans absolutely everywhere.
Crazy.
And there's a river running down the centre here. Meanwhile, other mountains, points and important ones up for grabs right now. And this is Rui Costa duking it out with Micah. Micah wants the points more than anything else. They're getting almost a bow draft here from the car behind, and it's going to be a little shake of the hand from Micah. Rui Costa across the line second, but a load of mountains points for Micah there.
Yes, and of course the mountain classification just a bit further down, so we did not get a view of that. It's possible that Micah did get, ahead of Rui Costa in that classification, but he was also contesting for the top three in the podium, and Costa just a little bit too strong for him.
You're absolutely right. My mistake here is Tom Dumoulin getting the congratulations, but there's a war raging behind him, and it's going to go on for another few minutes yet. Here we are, brave souls coming to the line. Those who had a chance of stage glory, the stage having been taken by Tom Dumoulin. Wow. Well, yes, it was. I think it was going to be runners-up spot, wasn't it, for Micah? But Rui Costa taking it. Micah will wait for the points from the polka dot jersey competition to see whether he holds on to that jersey. Still waiting for Thibaut Pinot. We might have to wait a long time. Lightning, I believe. It may well be press photographer's flashes. And there's our commentary positions here, made of metal. So wish us good fortune as well.
Yes, and we see Daniel Navarra there from Cofidis just coming over the line for fourth. And again, being up there in the breaks on a number of times, but not getting what he really set out for the stage victory today.
I was just looking behind. I couldn't see Quintana there, but he suddenly revealed himself. He was just screened by Dan Martin, who still looks very, very lively. Here's Thibaut Pinot. Also, brave effort by the Frenchman today on a number of climbs. Lots going his way. And the battle will continue between himself and Micah for that coveted King of the Mountains jersey. Don't forget Tom Dumoulin picked up 50 points today. Oh, and we're losing cameras all over the place. We'll stay at the line and hope this stays hooked up for you. Very brave performance by George Bennett, part of the breakaway. He had a great day yesterday, another effective day for him. as he comes to a very, very damp line today. Well, we've lost the pictures back to our main contenders, Sean, I'm afraid. That picture is just blacked out, so we may have to wait. One suspects we might see Dan Martin come round the corner first.
Yes, we did see just before we lost pictures there, Dan Martin looked like he was going in the attack, and we can see here, you know, it splits once again, this group. TJ Van Garderen, every time there's an attack by somebody out front, he seems to be losing a bit of contact. Richie Porte looks impressive. He's looking around. He put in a little bit of an effort there, but that was, I think, to calm affairs on the front, because, again, you see him looking around here to see where TJ Van Garderen is at this moment.
Adam Yates must be thinking that he can take the yellow jersey here today, Sean. But he's got to find seconds, and Chris Froome wants them, and he goes for it. Quintana follows him. Adam Yates is back down in the saddle, just getting into the gap in this, what is effectively a GC team time trial going on at the moment. Dan Martin just slots into that gap right now. Marius Frank was looking for some extra time along the way from the breakaway. He was the best placed of them. Chris Froome just eases up, and Richie Porte, is he going to pick him back up? A little bit further back there is Bardet, and other principals, including Bauke Mollema, who gets out of the saddle right now, as you can see, being marked by Sergio Henao. But look at this, 1 kilometre to go until the KOM, and then that's the Flamme Rouge for the line. So the King of the Mountains is actually just ahead of the line. Separate sponsors, you understand. But anyway, here is Dan Martin just wrestling with it, and it looks like he may well have been wrestled to the ground, has he? Not quite sure just yet. He tries to get back on. Adam Yates is also there. No more bonus seconds available at the line, don't forget. So it's the true gaps that will count between these guys, and it may well be that they all come home together. Somebody surely, though, is going to try and have a go for it. We'll wait and see. This is another group of hopefuls a bit further down.
Yes, Bardet, we can see there. Polito Rodriguez, TJ Van Garderen, Henao is there also. Bauke Mollema. We can see Dan Martin here, just fighting away here, trying to hold contact with the yellow jersey group, and we can see there it's Richie Porte who is just securing a pace here, but definitely not giving his best here. I think interests more for TJ Van Garderen further back the road.
So who's going to try a cheeky one, at least in terms of position, and maybe just buy a little bit of psychological advantage? Chris Froome puts out the tongue at the moment, almost to blow a raspberry at the day, I think, which has been a tough one, but his team yet again have mastered the control room, I think it's fair to say. There is Quintana as well, and it looks like this group may well all come home together on what is grisly conditions at the end of a very busy day. You can hardly see the tarmac. It looks like they are defying gravity, or indeed the ocean here, and walking upon it. My goodness, they all look at each other, and I think this may well be a group content to come home like this, will it? Porte ahead of Froome, Quintana, Adam Yates. Wow, what a day. And just off the back of this quintet, you'll find Dan Martin as well. The last couple of 100 metres, is anyone going to be tempted to change the pace here? And it's Adam Yates that goes for it. Wants a bit of a gap. Chris Froome is not going to give gifts to anybody, least of all the young man, and Quintana goes with him. Adam Yates, cheeky, almost capricious move for him, and terrific scalps he's going to take today. No time gaps to be seen, I don't think anyway. Yates is going to hit the line right now. Froome alive to the threat, then Quintana, possibly a second or two gap to Porte and Dan Martin, and here comes Polito leading Bardet and other principals such as Bauke Mollema. What a day we have had. A damp end, but it hasn't dampened proceedings or indeed the drama. It's been absolutely superb, and we go into the rest day, I think, well stated, after feasting upon 9 wonderful stages here on the Tour de France. Here's TJ Van Garderen as well, losing time today, and every second is going to count here, Sean.
Yes, we could see that a group of Polito Rodriguez, they probably had about 20-25 seconds. TJ Van Garderen probably a little bit more than that. We can see Kreisen coming in there, probably 30 seconds. Geraint Thomas also a bit over that 30 seconds. And here we see Nibali pulling for Aru, and with on tow it's Barguil.
Здесь тоже есть свой маленький горный мотив, называется Черные горы. Но это далекие предгорья, еще одна складчатость, зона складчатости перед Пиренеями. Тем не менее, в хорошую погоду опять придется уверять, заверять. Со всех высоток очень хорошо видно заснеженные Пиренеи. Роскошные фотографические планы. Но если вы фотографируете глазами только на свою долгую память, так есть тоже на что посмотреть. Но сегодня Пиренеи показали свое второе, но тоже всем известное лицо. Сегодня Пиренеи были дождливыми. К счастью, по крайней мере, поливавшийся до этого финиш довольно-таки неплохо подсушился. Импи, Ван Авермат, Петер Саган, Люк Дорбридж, Эдвальд Боссон-Хаген, Майкл Мэтьюс и Сэм Дюмолан. На кого ставить? На Сэма вряд ли. Несмотря на то, что он меньше даже маленького горняка из своей команды, Пуличино из Италии, он все-таки, когда пойдет основная гора, мне кажется, его высадит. Просто по мускулатуре, по предрасположенности. Не его территория. Хаген может оттерпеть, именно оттерпеть. Если он на максимуме сейчас, если он в идеальной своей форме, Боссон-Хаген такие свечки переваливает на одном дыхании практически. Тобо-добо. Ориковский гонщик задействован, учитывая его возможности во всем, чем угодно, от 4 километров до часовой гонки на треке. Всем хорошо известные Дорбридж работает на своих товарищей по команде. Вы это видите и сейчас тоже. Он подвозит их к подножию для того, чтобы спуртанул Мэтьюс. Он умеет это делать. Он способен это делать. Или Импи в равной степени. При том, что Мэтьюс спринтер широкого профиля, но такого широченного, еще раз напоминаю, профиля, что, будучи в розовой майке, на Джиро д'Италия на этапе с 5-километровым финишем в гору выигрывал у всех, включая и чистых горняков. Ван Авермат предпочтет быть одним из первых на вершине горы и затем утвердить свое преимущество на спуске. Финиш, кстати говоря, тоже будет слегка в пригорок, но сравнивать тот пригорок с основным отборочным подъемом этих километров, пожалуй, что не стоит. Средний градиент этой горы за 6%, и поэтому, собственно говоря, в принципе, достаточно внятный градиент. Но не опасайтесь того, что здесь все рассыплются. Нибали все, остановился. В том смысле, что он приглашал догонять, но никто не отзывался. И блокировка Дамиана Каруза, с которым у него по жизни-то очень даже неплохие взаимоотношения, но здесь табачок гоночный оказался врозь. И вот сейчас основная часть этой горы, собственно говоря, которая имеет 1800 метров протяженность, а то, что было до этого, был подъезд. Но зато здесь эти 1,8 с градиентом вполне бельгийским, но не таким, как Мурдюи, естественно. Такую гору Венч работает вполне нормально, и пересаживать обратно на тармак совершенно не стоило Петера Сагана. Саган старается, как сова, вокруг себя видеть все. Присутствие Сагана немножко сковывает тех, кто начал бы атаку немножко пораньше. Потому что Саган может отсидеться, Саган может на спуске выбрать. Но те, кто верил, что он не выберет, такая ситуация, допустим, была с Лулу Санчесом, мы это вспоминали, в этом году тоже. Иногда они не раскаивались в том, что убегали заранее. Другое дело, что сейчас ситуацию Саган держит. Обратите внимание, какой хорошей ногой, спрямленной стопой, затаскивает он передачу, не настолько затяжеленную, но, с другой стороны, не облегченную, дающую те самые идеальные ваты на данном отрезке. Дорбридж жертвует собой. ради двух ребят из своей команды, которые в равной степени очень серьезные претенденты на финиш. Но добавить еще высоко-высоко сидящие, обратите внимание, что сейчас это даже уже и не тенденция, потому что Дерби оставил себе прежнюю совсем высокую посадку. Он сдает смену, и тут же, как только австралиец ушел, врубил другую скорость, включил другую передачу. Петер Саган за километр до черты горного финиша, но нужно учесть, что там еще плато и небольшой тягунок. Он взрывает эту группу, но тут же понимает, что, конечно, два человека, если они одинаково хорошо себя чувствуют, из Орики Bike Exchange в равной степени опасны. Мэтьюс пока на колесе. Импи атакует. Импи, который готовил сегодняшний день. Импи, который в день отдыха раскатывался больше всех и выполнил самую бойкую горную работу. Мэтьюс какое-то время вообще даже в спринтерских тусовках не принимал участие. Потом стал уже попадать в отчет о десятке сильнейших. Майкл Мэтьюс готов сразиться и в чистой спринтерской борьбе. Но вы видите, не дотягивает до этого. И после протяжки Импи теперь Мэтьюс. Классическая работа вдвоем, когда неизвестно, кого ловить. Ну, такое ощущение, что Саган в основном настроен Майкла ловить как раз. Выбирает Блинга. Выглядит не хуже, чем на американском чемпионате мира чуть менее года назад. Там ведь тоже пригорки были. И, собственно, с заключительных пригорков и обозначилось это серьезное преимущество Петера Сагана. Чуть не загреб задним колесом опустившего голову Боссона Хагена. Это был Боссон Хаген. От напряжения уронил немножко голову, глянул туда вниз и чуть не въехал. Вот было бы глупо, ей-богу. Ван Авермат идет в хорошем ритме также. Добавить еще на таком ходу крайне затруднительно, но высадить его тоже не удалось. Никого, даже Думулана, высадить не удалось. В преддверии, но пока еще в отдаленном, но все-таки в преддверии дня взятия Бастилии французы уже мотивированы. Тем более, что как-то не особенно им ловится в этот раз. Группа уже, и забыли мы про эту группу, она уже очень далеко. Группа Нибали где-то примерно в 3 минутах тоже уже не выберет. Как бы агрессивно не спускался Нибали, он не будет агрессивно сейчас спускаться, потому что нет смысла рисковать. Ну, вот вы видите, премию разыграли. А гора-то продолжилась, как и предупреждал Грег Лемон. Последняя из 2 горная премия уже разыграна, но подъем продолжается. Порядка 4% он был. На нем отрабатывали, тем не менее, все на большой ведущий, естественно. Ну, а ведомая тоже была приличная такая, в районе там 17 где-то или даже пониже. Вальверде мог бы, да, если бы вся группа бы приезжала сюда, если бы ее кто-то держал бы, если бы работал Скай сегодня и догонял бы отрывы, если бы отрыв не был таким сильным по составу. Много всяких «если» могло бы быть. Но почти в винокуровском стиле на самом деле Петер Саган. То есть в несколько отскоков. Другое дело, что создать преимущество не удалось. Удалось только заехать на спуск первым. И теперь посмотрим. С одной стороны, он будет экзаменовать тех, кто едет за ним, в качестве одного из лучших спусковиков совершенно объективно в шоссейном велоспорте. С другой стороны, по нему все эти ребята могут ехать запросто. И заизолировать их очень сложно. Поэтому, скорее всего, все решит пригорок перед финишем. Финиш в тягунок. Группа Нибали почти в 2 километрах. Пелотон почти в 5. И яростно ринулись на этом спуске участники первой головы. Петер Саган на первой позиции. Он не боится брать на себя инициативу. Он должен, вынужден проверять всех на спуске. Хотя здесь есть где подсиживаться чуть-чуть. И, наконец, он сдает смену, но не берет смену, а выскакивает затяжным темповым куском The Boss Hagen. Эдвал The Boss Болсон Хаген, падавший на этой гонке. В том же завале, небольшом, но суперскоростном, очень страшном, в каком и сошедший первым в этой гонке аж на 8-м этапе, чего не было никогда в истории, Михаил Мørkøv. Ну и подстегнул он, конечно, впечатляюще. Однако же чемпиона Норвегии многократного кататься дальше не отпустили. Садится Болсон Хаген. Ему говорят: парень, ну сколько можно-то? Dimension Data, сколько она может выигрывать? 4 этапа у вас. Поделитесь, ведь пора бы. Эдвал Болсон Хаген, двукратный победитель этапов Тур де Франс. Именно за счет своей агрессивности, именно за счет своей универсальности. Потому что при росте 1,85 м его вес крепкий, мышечная масса хороша. Вспоминали еще на Giro d'Italia, где тоже был этап, проходивший через Пинаролло, от финиша 2011 года, где Хаген на спуске, на более опасном спуске, более скоростном спуске сбежал от всех, независимо от специализации, и 40 секунд тогда привез Бауке Молеми. Далее был Казар, затем Эль Форес, затем Шаванель, затем Дмитрий Фофанов, руководящий сейчас действиями Астаны из технички в качестве менеджера команды. И снова Импи сидит, Мэтьюс атакует. Мэтьюс атакует, Мэтьюс сидит, Импи атакует. То есть это классическая атака вдвоем, которая, тем не менее, такого сильного Сагана не накрывала. Вермат и француз очень с большим удовольствием это все наблюдают, отсиживаясь, не беря на себя ветер. Наблюдают за тем, как два представителя австралийской команды, один австралиец, второй южноафриканец, укатывают потихоньку Сагана, лишают его, возможно, резкости. 2,5 километра еще впереди этой спринтерской игры. Сейчас снова немножко сбавили, и снова игра в оглядки. Кто надежно окажется на колесе, сумеет высидеть несколько сотен метров, а потом контратаковать, тот в конечном счете и будет самый хитрый. По классике жанра именно так. Сделать слипстрим. С последней позиции атакует австралиец. И надо сказать, что это никого не удивило. И атака была слишком отдаленной. То есть, опять же, классика здесь присутствует. Другое дело, если бы атака была действительно по-настоящему мощной и острой. Если бы он сразу дал просвет бы. Тем временем 1900 метров остается до финишной черты. Во главе основной группы, которая продолжает тележить, по-прежнему Василий Кириенко. Но не получается, несмотря на все старания, не получается сейчас у Фрума отдать желтую майку. Тот, кто мог ее подобрать, находится в группе Нибали. И там разрыв еще слишком маленький. Его нужно удвоить фактически, если не утроить. Для того, чтобы желтую майку дать поносить, по крайней мере, Дамон Мунту. Уж придется так, как есть. Да и с другой стороны, так или иначе. Ведь самоцелью, во что бы то ни стало, выбросить майку, самоцели такой нет. Есть самоцель сэкономить команду, сэкономить собственные силы. И в этом плане на этапе все было сделано нормально. Импи темповик в этой ситуации. Импи подхлестывает и подхлестывает. Часто тоже берет смену. И при таком раскладе предпочтительнее в этой комбинации Мэтьюс, естественно. Хаген успокоился. Но начало его как раз вот той атаки, которую он быстро выключил, начало было наиболее резким вообще из всех начал спурта в этой группе. Хаген, кроме того, бережет еще ногу, а уже последний километр. Неужели он надеется разобрать усталого Сагана? Уже победителя этапа на Тур-де-Франс. У него был голодный паёк на протяжении 3 лет. Агрессивнейшим образом южноафриканец записывает этот поворот. Импи едет на отличной позиции, прилипнув к Педру Сагану. Третьим идет, ну, если мы сбрасываем Импи, которого, правда, если прозеваешь, он так вот, Саган будет оглядываться, Импи даст дыру в 10 метров, и все. Но нет, для этого всего остается слишком мало пространства. И Авермат опасался Сагана, вот именно начало его атаки. Он в первую очередь боялся, потому что Авермат берег ногу. И вот сейчас он более свежей ногой выходит вперед. Хагена, выбрасывая практически на бордюр. Тут же вылетает Мэтьюс. Мэтьюс с просветом. Мэтьюс, победитель этапа. И числом, и умением Orica Bike Exchange наконец-то зарабатывает свой этап. Ну классно, что? Хрестоматийная развязка. А Саган укатался за ними троими. При том, что все остальные ничего делать не желали. Ну что ж, с точки зрения набора очков в спринтерскую номинацию, все шикарно. Опаснейшая была атака Грега Ван Авермата, но просто не хватило максимальной мощности. Просто не хватило этих 1600 или скольких там ватт. Тем временем уже прошел первый этап тура Польши.